I was very proud. So with that proud look on my face, I went to show my mother, who was laying on the couch watching Law and Order. 40 hours in a day. Yeah, I wish. You know how much stuff I could get done 40 hours in a day? I can sleep for 12 hours and not even feel guilty about it. I'm still like, oh yeah, I'm still good, man. If only the world worked in the way that this dude apparently thinks that it does. For context and references, I've worked in both settings where idiots and a-holes tend to be pretty common. Food service and retail. Oh, that's like the first and second level of hell, I'm pretty sure. However, shockingly, the dumbest person that I have ever met, at least up to this date, was someone that I met while working the desk of a university library. Well, I guess that's a good thing. If anybody needs to be at university, it's that dude. First, we'll start out slow. How many hours are there in a day? 40. Okay. How many hours do you work in a week? Also 40. Yeah, see the problem here? He was a 24-year-old senior business major who was still living at home with his parents and working a manual labor job. Yeah, I think he's probably going to be doing manual labor for a long time. Hey, go stack those rocks, son. Not to dunk on him or anything, but come on, man. He's like, I worked a 3-day work week. You got to pay me for 120 hours. No, that's not how it works, boy. Finish stacking the rocks and I'll explain it to you. All of that is understandable. I mean, especially in this economy. Why I'm sharing these things specifically will make more sense quite soon. In addition to all of these things, he was also clearly hitting on me. I don't know how my lesbian vibes and I'm gay didn't reach him, but they didn't. We'll call this dude James. I mean, he's sort of dense, but also he's shooting his shot. You should just like outright tell him, hey, that's making me uncomfortable because I'm not attracted to your gender. Let's move forward amicably. Maybe she did try it. I don't know. I've dealt with people trying to hit on me before, and since no doesn't seem to work, my usual method is to be as boring, inattentive, and absent as possible. At your job? I think just a hard conversation's the way to do it. Rip the Band-Aid off, you know what I mean? But this was a special case, because James knew where I worked, and we both had class together 3 times a week. I couldn't avoid him if I tried, and I definitely tried. Yeah, 3 times a week for 40 hours. Almost every single day, James would come in during my shifts. Yeah, he figured out which shifts I did and didn't work fairly quickly. Well, there's some sun shining through or something. He figured that out all by himself. Maybe he is capable of breathing unassisted. He would walk up to the desk where I was usually actively attempting to work on something, and he would just talk for like half an hour minimum. Obviously, this was a massive issue at work. He would be passive-aggressive towards other patrons that needed my assistance. He would sulk when my boss asked me to complete a task, and he refused to allow me to get any of my homework done, which was part of my work study. Yeah, this guy is just a nuisance, honestly. If you don't want to confront him directly, maybe go to the boss about it and be like, look, I'm really being distracted. Can we like assist him in leaving and not coming back? There's also an issue where I can't leave the desk, nor can I be outright rude. So I'm like borderline trapped. Not only would he come and talk to me, but James would also bother the other staff members when I was busy or not on duty. At one point, the reference librarian sat with him while he talked for multiple hours, and nobody was very happy about this arrangement. Okay, but I just don't really get it. Why does nobody tell him off? You'd rather sit here and endure a conversation for hours that you aren't even the least bit interested in than have a 10-minute conversation, either with him or with campus security to have him removed. I understand social contract, etc., but he is violating it, so I am gonna violate it right back. This is always one of the saddest things to see. I do sort of understand it in a way. There are many girls working retail jobs and they have creeps come in and just assume that because this woman was nice to them that they just have full authority to do whatever the hell they want, waste the majority of their day. And it's not okay. And that is why I suggest, yeah, hey, campus security, this guy, he's loitering. He has no business here. At least he's spreading around his annoyance equally, I guess. He's not specifically coming after OP. That's a low bar, but yeah, that's the most I could say for him. Towards the end of the spring semester, James came in for another chat. This time he decided on a rather controversial topic, which was this generation and working. Oh God, he's a boomer. He's a boomer in a 24-year-old man's body, and I don't know what's going on anymore. While I was actively at work, working multiple jobs to cover my expenses, and receiving almost no financial support from my family, much less emotional support, yeah, I can see how that's just the slightest bit insulting. Did you relay any of that to James? I think this is why I just don't fit in a customer service role, okay? I can't keep my mouth shut. I will let you have both barrels. If I get written up, fired, whatever, do what you gotta do. I can't listen to this for another minute. As James continued to complain about how no one in my generation wants to work anymore, I decided to point out some of the reasons why using my own experience. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go, let him have it. Things such as crappy pay, crappy treatment, wanting to improve on mental health or enjoy the last bit of freedom that they'll have, or as in my case, not wanting to be harassed at work. That's a different story. James, as a straight white male, told me that being sexually harassed at work was easy, and I should try manual labor in comparison. Oh my God, here we go. The Oppression Olympics are on, everybody. Are you kidding me right now? I do lean towards manual labor being easily, like, nobody should be harassed at work. But come on, do we really have to drag, like, race and gender into it? I am all for race and gender as a descriptor, to be clear, but here it seems like specifically derogatory, and I ain't gonna sign off on that, OP. Get out of here! You shouldn't have to be harassed, but I don't much like the way that you phrased it. And did James stop there? Of course not. James decided to move on to another topic about poor teachers and how they just give kids an iPad and don't teach. What? What school is this? I explained how that was incorrect, but he insisted that things were better back in the 60s. Are you sure? You weren't even alive. What are you talking about? Jokingly, I responded with, oh yeah, that way they could beat their lessons into kids instead. Much more effective as well as traumatic. Oh my God, you guys are both making these false equivalencies and it's driving me crazy. I'm gonna power through. I'm gonna power through because we're almost done, but I'm not liking it. James tells me that beating and hitting children isn't traumatic. Oh my God, dude. Citation needed. I decide to tell him that after surviving 15 years of abuse and pursuing a psychology major, it is. Yeah, you don't really need to experience it or have a major in it to decipher that it is. James is just objectively an he still insists that I'm wrong and proceeds to change the subject back to how nobody wants to work. James, leave my office right now, okay? I don't have time for this roundy round. If you're gonna make a point, which I know you aren't, then make it and get out. Did it get better? Well, No, of course not, but it did get so stupidly insane that it became humorous. This is a graduating senior who still lives at home with the full support of his parents, tells me that he worked 3 full-time jobs while attending university at one point. 40 hours a day. Yeah, you heard that right. There are now 40 hours in a day. Oh my God, we've got so much time for activities. This is great, you guys. Let's double up on the ReddX uploads every single day. We got him. Unfortunately, I don't know that James is the most reliable narrator. We're gonna have to check with Google. Oh, look at that, still 24 hours. Shame. I really had a lot of possibilities in my mind, but oh well. Before you ask, I did point out that there are only 24 hours in a day, making that impossible. But convinced that I was wrong, he continued to insist that it was possible to work 40 hours in a day if you bridged the gaps right. What?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Like you're working 2 jobs at the same time? I guess it is, but no! James, just stop. Quit while you're only pathetically behind. This is so weird, man. The only reason that this man made it through college is because he was cheating off of other students throughout every single class. During the single class that we shared, James needed help with every assignment that we were given. And if you showed him an example of what you did for yours, he would want to take pictures of it. Just give me an example, and I need a picture so I can replicate the sample. Like 100%? You're not going to change anything? We're both going to get in trouble, James. He also asked to take pictures of graded tests on Canvas so he could use the answers to fill out his own test correctly. You're not learning anything, though. Like, why bother going to school? I guess just to get the piece of paper at the end. During group projects, James would help out, and that would result in the rest of the group spending several hours redoing everything that he did to try and minimize the damage. This man had me do slides for him on the group project, and he genuinely did not know what he was presenting to our class of 60 students for our final project. Yeah, he's skating, man. And the sad part is y'all let him get away with it. This school has failed James. James is gonna go to that new job with a fancy degree, and he's gonna show his whole ass to all his coworkers and everything, and that school will be a laughingstock at that job from now on. Anybody else comes in with a degree from this school, it's like, nah, that's pay to win. We're not hiring that guy. James was also that same person that poorly attempted to steal my ideas and present them as his own, and he was caught every single time. Yeah, but what's the repercussion for that? Nothing? Slap on the wrist? Hey, don't do that! Hey, these are awfully similar, maybe. I don't care, I don't get paid enough. The whole school has failed him. Yes, he failed himself, but I don't know, man. My mind is just blown. You think the education system would get a little bit better during college, but apparently not this college. And yet, somehow, after $80,000 spent, 4 years worth of education, 24 years on planet Earth, with his graduation ceremony in only a single week, James still genuinely believes that there are 40 hours in a day. Can you count them off for me? Start at midnight and count all the way up to noon, and that's 12, right? And then count from noon to midnight again, and that's 12, right? So where are we getting all this extra time? Oh no, this whole thing seems really terrible. No Child Left Behind 100% strikes again, okay? I dropped out of college after 1 semester, but at least the college was decent, you know what I mean? They cared if you cheated on tests, if you didn't participate in group projects. This is just mind-blowing to me. You could just pay your way to a degree and nobody's gonna ask any questions. Like I said, this is going to reflect back on the college as a whole once James enters the job market, okay? He might even think that there's more than 40 hours in the day, since 40 hours was just the time in the day that he was working. Is he talking about overlapping? Because even with 3 jobs, 8 hours each, that's 24 hours. You still got like another 16 hours. Where is all the time? Maybe he had 5 jobs. He just worked all 5 jobs for 8 hours. There you go. Here's my 40-hour work week in one day. I don't know what's going on, man. You should just go to University of Phoenix. It's already a joke. Just buy your degree online. It's gonna be fine. I don't mean to dunk on University of Phoenix. I'm sure there's somebody in the comments like, ReddX, what the f? No, it's fine. It's fine, okay? Just don't be a James, and you're gonna be great. Anyways, let's move on into the next story before I get myself in too much trouble. Husband drank from moldy Camelbak. Man, Camelbaks are so cool. The problem is, yeah, you can't really see what's in it. You kind of just have to trust that that water is fresh and delicious. Or if you're like Sir Sam, you put sweet tea into your Camelbak. Y'all remember that? Ah! That's a throwback from like the early days of the channel. Anyways, not sure if this is the right place to post, but I think my husband is an idiot. Oh my god, it's those mom life comics vibes right now. I'm not gonna jump on it too quick. She's gonna tell everybody how she didn't eat the last peach, and I am not going to give her a standing ovation, all right? My husband has this Camelbak for whenever he does any camping and or exercise. It's a typical one with the holder and the hose and the bladder. He hasn't washed it in the whole 3 years that he's had it. Yeah, maybe he is an idiot though. He's like, I put fresh water in it. It's got to be clean. It's like, yeah, but what about the residual water that was in there? Okay, well, I am firmly off of the husband's side now. He does change out the water, but other than that, he just leaves the Camelbak sitting in the room after he's done with it. He finally got a new one. I assume because it tasted bad. He didn't really say why he wanted a new one. So yeah, he recently replaced it. I had just got a cleaner for him on Amazon so I could clean it because he wants to be able to use both of them. Bro, double Camelbaks? One for each arm? I'm gonna be so hydrated! I let it soak in the solution overnight. At first, there were like chunks floating around in the water. I emptied it and started to clean it, just watching the chunks of mold flow by. Yeah, that is in his body now. This is so not good, man. I thought that was the worst of it. Every piece had some kind of mold on it. I go to clean out the tube and it really just looks like someone had shoved mud inside of it. And I had to pass it through like 5 or 6 times. I'm really debating about just throwing it away because some of it, even after cleaning, looks like it won't come out. The thing that gets me is my husband has been drinking out of this. He's never once gotten sick from it or said anything about it tasting weird. Mold is like bad to drink, isn't it? How has he not gotten sick? I can't believe that he isn't more grossed out about this. Honestly, yeah, probably just throw it away. That's not worth saving, okay? How much is a new Camelbak? Like 30, 40 bucks or something like that? Your hospital bill is gonna cost way more than that. Is it bad to drink mold? Not every type of mold, but yeah, you probably don't want to test it. It will wear down your immune system bit by bit. I bet this guy's just working on his immune system. That's what it is. He's like, if I drink enough mold, then I can eat absolutely anything without it affecting me in any way whatsoever, right? He's just practicing up. Like those dudes that get bit by rattlesnakes and don't have to take an antivenom because they got bit by rattlesnakes so many times. Yeah, that's what's going on here, I'm pretty sure. To me, it seems like there's also like a communication barrier between you and your husband that possibly needs to get looked at. Like the Camelbak is a problem, but I don't think it's the genesis of this problem. Ask him why he wants a new Camelbak. Share with him that he needs to clean it out at certain points, you know? It probably feels like that's something that doesn't need to be stated at all, but also, why not just make sure that it is something that he definitely knows? Maybe he's actually a genius. Maybe he's back there making his own penicillin and just microdosing it from day to day. It's a conversation that should definitely be had. He's working on his +3 constitution from this, I'm pretty sure. It might be weird, it might be disgusting, he also might be a genius. I can't really say quite yet. That's about all I got to say about this one. We'll move on into the third story. How I found out that I was dating my sister's boyfriend. Oh yeah, that old chestnut. Who hasn't been there a time or two, am I right? God. I met a guy on Omegle. I was 12 and he said he was 13. Y'all just babies. Stay off the internet, babies, okay? I can't have any of this. So I decided to keep texting him. And he was funny and caring. And then he asked for my Snapchat, so I gave it to him. And we started talking on Snapchat every single day. After a week, he asked to be my boyfriend, and I said yes. Yeah, because y'all 12 and 13 years old, you don't even know what that means. Do you want to be my girlfriend? Yeah, sure, whatever. Maybe we'll hold hands on the way to class. Is that too far? Is that too much? These kids got no idea what's going on. Then again, kids today built different, I'm gonna tell you that. Jesus. The things that they'd probably seen at 12 years old would make 15-year-old me blush. Anyways, the problem was that we were in 2 different continents, so we couldn't even see each other. And I was uncomfortable doing video calls because I was insecure. Yeah, at least he's your boyfriend. On paper. We gotta send cute memes back and forth to make it official. Yeah, that's the most official kind of official. After 2 months in our relationship, my sister told me that she had a boyfriend for the past 2 years, and she said he wants to meet me and we'll all go out for lunch. Well, I met the guy. He was handsome. While at lunch, I got a text from my boyfriend telling me he got cancer and figured that we should break up before he dies. I said, okay.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Is this not the most little kid stuff that you've ever heard? Hey, I got cancer. We gotta break up. I'm gonna be dead in 6 months. I'm dying, bro. For real? Are you for real? This is the worst thing I've ever seen. Oh my God. So yeah, I said okay, but we still agreed to date again if he survived. I can't breathe, bro. This is the dumbest thing ever. Oh, back to lunch. I took some pictures of myself from my sister's boyfriend's phone, and I wanted to send them to myself, and that's when I realized that him and I were already friends, and realized that I had been dating a 23-year-old man. Bum, bum, bum! That part's not even really funny. I'm still coming down off the cancer thing, honestly. And I wasn't the only one he was talking to. Plus, he totally lied that he got cancer, and I never told my sister about this. Bro, I don't know. This post is giving me cancer. This I guess the biggest question that I have is like, who is the idiot supposed to be in this story? I mean, I hate to come at a 12-year-old, you know what I mean, and be like, this story's horrible and dumb, but it is. This was picked out for me by the writing research. I'm not gonna throw you guys under the bus in the video, but come on, who picked this one out? I mean, I hate to come at a 12. She's supposed to be naive, okay? She's a 12-year-old little girl. She was basically victimized by a 23-year-old man. Whether he knew that that was his girlfriend's sister or not is really super inconsequential in this case. I would say that that guy needs to go against the wall, okay? This is horrible. This is definitely not the kind of thing that I was expecting to get into when I dove into stories about idiots, but yeah, there it is, I guess. I mean, cringe is cringe, and with this simple paragraph, my God, were we feasting, but I gotta move on from it now. I can't let this live rent-free in my head any longer. So goodbye! Stay off Omegle. Child, what are you doing? I tricked myself. Yeah, I do that too sometimes. I'm looking for my phone with the flashlight on my phone, you know? And everybody's like, hey, where was your phone? Yeah, exactly. I just tricked my overthinking brain into making a sandwich after being hungry for a while, but not eating because I didn't want to go to so much trouble to make a sandwich or something. Oh yeah, that's 5 minutes out of my day taking care of my dietary needs. How am I ever going to get that 5 minutes back? I was just like, fine, I'll just eat some tuna straight from the can. Whoa, you're a mess. Why are you going to do that? Is it that hard to throw it in a bowl and mayonnaise it up and maybe cut some celery in there? But then, as I was opening the can, I was like, hey, you know how I could eat this without having to get a fork dirty? Put some of that bread there. And then as I dumped the tuna on the bread, I decided it needed mustard, because, yeah, that's super easy. And then the mayo was right next to the mustard in the fridge, so I got that too, and boom! Surprise sandwich! I outwitted myself. I know it's not really a big deal, but I was excited, so I thought that I would internet it. I mean, to be fair, our brains move in mysterious ways. Your stomach knew that it wanted that bread, and it was just going in like a roundabout way to get you to eat it, because, I don't know, I guess you were feeling that lazy. Like, this is a new level of laziness, man. I'm a pretty lazy dude, but like making a sandwich? Come on! Literally 3 to 5 minutes out of your day to satisfy that rumbly and your tumbly, you know? You gotta do better. You gotta do better. Although, I am kind of with this dude because he's like, you know, I don't need no stinking cutting boards. And I totally feel that. I hate cutting boards, bro. Especially you color code them. Get that out of here. I don't even want to talk about it. That's a flashback to the laziest leg beard saga. Wow. We're having a lot of flashbacks in this little experimental subreddit. There's part of me that enjoys it. There's part of me that thinks that it's really inconsequential and we should have just done stories about Kevin. But you let me know what you think in the comments and we'll move on to the next one. I became a murderer at 7 years old. Oh my God, that's edgy. Totally not clickbait, okay? Viral prank in the hood, gone wild, something like that. You won't believe what happens. When I was young, probably about 7, we got 2 hamsters, Ferg and Newport. You named a hamster after some cigarettes? Y'all smoke Newports out there? Don't do that. The cigarettes are bad for you. But if I did start again, why not some Newports, right? Newport wouldn't stop escaping and popping babies and then committing familial relations. So yeah, we had an entire army, even though most of the babies would die because Newport would throw them off the table out of the enclosure. And that's parenting. I'm sure there's not a parent out there that wouldn't like to do that at some point, but hamsters, they got the nuts to really do it. They don't care. They know they're not going to go to jail. Their whole life is in jail, essentially, already. So why not, right? It was pretty traumatizing when I would wake up to a puddle of dead babies every morning. A puddle? Bro, like they liquidated upon hitting the floor? I don't think that's true. I think you try to be we could just say pile, right? They probably just ended up in a little pile. Just imagine waking up at 7 years old to make a bowl of cereal and finding a mountain of cold, dead, nude babies on your pantry floor. Yeah, I had hamsters once or twice. I remember that they are pretty sensitive to the cold. I think I left the window open in my room one day and we had 2 hamsters freeze to death. Like, it was just a slightly cold day. I should have bought them a heat lamp or something, but then they probably would have gotten cooked. Really, I shouldn't have been in charge of sentient beings when I was a child. Neither should this 7-year-old, to be completely fair. Anyways, on to how I became a slayer of hamsters. Although Newport had a great love for boning, she did not have a great love for me. I was young, and I always wanted to hold her, so one day, I improvised. I picked her up, and I didn't get bit. I was very proud. So with that proud look on my face, I went to show my mother, who was laying on the couch, watching Law and Order. Get out of here, Mama's gotta watch her stories. Apparently, I was too stupid to realize that when I picked Newport up in the way that I did, I broke her neck. Oh my God. I guess the adrenaline got to you. You were scared to get bit and stuff like that, so you're like, come here. You ain't biting me today, crack. And she didn't bite you that day. Congratulations, question mark. I showed Newport's crippled, dead body to my mom, and she said, put her back here, she looks tired. And I did so, and the next morning my mother told me that Newport had escaped. I am now 15 writing this story, and I truly did think that she ran away until just now. I guess that is the good thing about kids owning pets. You learn about life and death relatively early. If you're ever out there smoking Newports, don't snap off that filter tip, all right? That is there for your safety. But OP, apparently at 7 years old, she just loved Newports. She couldn't help herself. I thought this would be like an act of vengeance on behalf of all those hamster babies, but it wasn't at all. She's just a nervous kid snatching up a hamster trying not to get bit. And yeah, hamsters are super sensitive, bro. It's another post by like a really young kid. I don't expect to see like any revelations or anything that's gonna blow my mind, but it's a relatively interesting story, I guess. It is really sad too that the mom just really doesn't even care. She's like, oh look, the hamster's dead. Go put him back. Let mama finish watching her stories. Yeah, priorities. Then again, you didn't freak the kid out. Maybe it was the right thing to do, but based on 2 paragraphs, yeah, maybe pay more attention to what your kids are doing with their pets. 7 years old, that's way too young to be around small animals unsupervised. I feel bad for the hamster, honestly. Hamsters can be good, you know? You just gotta teach them that you're not there to kill them. I used to do it by putting on a gardening glove, and then I'd hold them enough with the glove on, because they bite the glove, but they can't bite through it. So you don't flinch away, so they think it doesn't do anything. And then you take the glove off, and the hamster's cool. He's like, if I bite you, you know, it's not gonna work, and you're not gonna kill me anyways, right? And then me and Rock John were best friends. That was the name of my hamster, at least the one that lived the longest. Rock John. I just had a core memory unlocked. So maybe this story did have more of an effect on me than I initially thought. Not too bad. We'll jump on into one more and then I'll get out of here for the day. We'll see how it goes. I'm from Norway. This American girl asked me a few questions once. Oh, here we go with the American school system. Everybody make way. Stand back for a minute. Oh my God. Question 1. Are there polar bears in Norway? Well, not that bad of a question since there technically are. They're just not anywhere near the mainland. Wow, I didn't know that actually. Initially, I would think that's a pretty dumb question, but she nailed it. Congratulations. Let's see if the streak continues. Question 2. Are there computers in Norway? Yes? What? What did you think the answer to that was gonna be? No, what's a computer? I don't know what you're talking about. That's probably how I would have played it, honestly. Just make her think for the rest of her life that Norway has no idea what computers are. Question 3. Does Norway have the same problem with Vikings as America has with black people? Oh, God. I didn't really know how to respond to that one. What? Wow. Wow. It's not painting Americans in a great light, is it? Oh my God, dude. This is 0 to 100 in in one sentence. Everything was going fine. I mean, not fine, but as good as could be expected right up until the end. And then it just shot me right in the gut. Wow, bro. That's the post that I picked. That's the top rated post from r/StoriesAboutIdiots. I guess it is what it is. I hope you'll take all of this with a grain of salt, Norwegian friend. This girl doesn't represent most Americans. She's only representing herself, okay? We really went out with a bang at the end there, did we not? I didn't expect it to be what it was, but okay, there it is. Banana stickers. The banana sticker. I think I married a Kevin. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Divorce, annulment, it's not too late to get out, okay? You're gonna become a statistic, but sometimes it's worth it, you know? If you feel the need to pull the plug, then definitely pull the plug. Edit 1, hey, gold. Edit 2, I'm in top stories. Wow, humble bragging. I guess it's not a humble brag if it actually happened, but did we really need to put the edits at the beginning? Anyways, I don't want to dig it on him too hard. Let's see what it is that we got here. I may have married a Kevin. He initially doesn't strike you as a Kevin because he has a very successful career working for a government alphabet agency. I mean, that doesn't necessarily proclaim smart to me. This proclaims like a gross misuse of tax dollars. However, these are some of the things that he believes. Once this man gets a notion stuck in his head, you cannot remove it with dynamite. Have you tried? I bet you've tried. It just has like the thickest skull known to man. A Pachycephalosaurus. If his mother or his teacher, Sister Mary Godzilla, told him something 50 plus years ago, then that was revealed truth, and nothing could change it. Sister Mary Godzilla told him that men have one less rib than women. It has to be that way, because God took Adam's rib to make Eve. So I had to show him side-by-side images of male and female skeletons in a medical encyclopedia and make him count the ribs before he believed that sister might have been mistaken. Yeah, she's got a theology degree, not a biology degree. What do you want? She's doing the best she can lying to those kids. Shouldn't have said it, but I said it. My bad. Sister was also told that plate tectonics was only a theory, and since theory means guess, there wasn't any truth to it. What sort of school is this? Yeah, this is not working out. You know how South America and Africa look like they would fit together, like puzzle pieces? Well, Sister told him that that was all just coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not!
That's how the world works. It's just a big string of coincidences, isn't it? God made the world the way it was, and the bits didn't go floating around like ducks on a pond. Okay, where was the Garden of Eden? Can you tell me that? Change is the only constant in life, Sister Mary Elephant. I mean Godzilla, whatever your name is. Theory equals guess also shot down the theory of evolution, the theory of relativity, and a bunch of other science things that didn't agree with the Bible. I mean, really, Kevin's just been done a disservice. Is that really his fault that he was taught the wrong things? I guess it is his fault because he's presented with the right things and still doesn't change his mind. I don't know. I'm trying to go to bat for him, but it's a little difficult. However, Kevin also seems to have come up with like a whole bunch of stuff all on his own. Oh, goody. I can't wait to plumb the depths of his mind. There can't be a volcano under Yellowstone Park because they wouldn't be dumb enough to put a national park on top of a volcano. Yeah, okay. I mean, I see the logic behind it, but also the volcano's the reason the park popped up. Everybody wants to go see Old Faithful. You know what I'm saying? This is Kevin applying logic to his world, and God bless him for it, honestly. He also said that ladies' are just inside-out man, so a woman who's using a tampon has to remove it in order to pee. Oh, God. Fellas, is that gay? I'm not sure. Wow. Yeah, not really. When you burn a candle, only the wick burns. The wax just runs down the side of the candle holder. He had no explanation as to what happens to the wax inside of a candle jar. Got you there. Maybe it's time to reinspect some of these theories. If that was the case, candles would be never ending, right? You just get the melted wax and make a new candle, stick a wick in there, you're good to go. Meat is not the muscle tissue of animals, but something else called the flesh. He did not explain where the muscles go if meat is this mysterious flesh. Flesh is skin, bro. I mean, chicken skin, that's some good stuff. Deep fried chicken skin, oh, it's the guiltiest pleasure. But I don't think we're out here eating like pork skin, beef skin. Nah, this sounds gross to me. Unless we're talking pork rinds. Actually, yeah, animal flesh is pretty good. But you know what's better than the flesh? The meat. Meat also only comes from mammals. Beef is meat. Pork is meat. But chicken and turkey are not meat, nor is fish. I mean, pescatarians, is that what they call that? Where you only eat the fish or something? I guess they'd let that one slide. But chicken and turkey? Really? What is it if it's not meat? Or flesh, I guess. I'm getting a little lost here. Cows just spontaneously start giving milk once they reach adulthood. Having a calf every year to start the process has nothing to do with it. On the other hand, hens have to bang roosters before they can lay eggs. No. I just want to send Kevin down to work on the farm for a little while. Just see how it all works. He's like, these hens are laying eggs, but where are the roosters? Well, you see, we don't want the eggs to be fertilized, but the eggs can still come out even without being fertilized, okay? In order for this cow to give milk, she has to have a calf. Much like a human woman will not give milk spontaneously upon reaching adulthood. Although, don't tell Kevin that, because his mind will probably explode or something like that. The clear button on the oven stops the timer. It does not. It turns off the oven, and that's all it does. I have made him start the timer and then punch the clear button. See? The timer is still going. He still tries to use the clear button to turn it off, and we have only had this oven for like, I don't know, 20 years? Don't trust Kevin to be cooking food, all right? He's gonna burn your house down in no time flat. Yeah, I mean, the clear button works on the microwave, right? The oven's basically just a big microwave. No, it's not, Kevin. Oh, and he goes on and says exactly that, Jesus. He says the microwave and the toaster oven are basically the same appliance. And since you can put plastic things in the microwave, well, you can put them in the toaster oven as well. Yeah, until it melts all over the place. Is he learning the hard way? He only did this twice, though, since I really yelled at him the second time. He does seem to have grasped no metal in the microwave, though, so I guess at least this is a plus. Next up, he's going to be like, aluminum foil's not metal. Yeah, it's just shiny, but it's not made of metal. Metal foil? That doesn't make any sense. Sometimes he just has to figure things out for himself. My dad would say, you tell him and you tell him, but some folks have just got to pee on the electric fence for themselves.
Just don't whiz on the electric fence.
Take the top rack of the dishwasher, for instance. The section on the right-hand side is about ½ an inch wider than all of the other sections. This makes the ideal section for cups, because they just fit. And I told him this. I had him put a cup in the right-hand section and see that it just fits. I then had him put a cup in another section where it plainly did not fit. About a week later, he came to me and said, I figured out that the right-hand section's wider than the others, so that's where we should put the cups. Wow, really? You figured that out all by yourself? I mean, all this stuff, it's dumb. It's not divorce-worthy, I guess. If you can live with it, I guess I can live with it. But yeah, definitely don't trust this man around your children, okay? He's gonna be like, oh, I rolled the baby over on his face because I like to sleep on my stomach too. He's been napping for about 15 hours now. Well, Kevin's going to jail.
I'm going to jail!
Oh, that got really dark. And of course, this evening's Kevinisms, chopped is the same as sliced. What? You want chopped bread? Those are croutons, bro. He was going to a church picnic and had volunteered to bring sliced tomatoes and lettuce and onions for the hamburger. He asked me to chop all these things for him. Not slice, chop. I had to explain the difference. I mean, honestly, that's good foresight. You definitely should not trust him around knives. That's not gonna end well. 2, that the volume of a medium-sized bowl is exactly the same as that of a smaller bowl. What? How does that work? Oh, so you can stack the bowls. You don't mean like, you know, they hold the same amount. All right, maybe I'm getting a little Kevin. Maybe it's rubbing off on me right now. I don't know what's going on. This is a long-standing confusion, actually. I can't tell you how many times I explain that to save cabinet space, you put the small bowls inside of the medium bowls, which then go inside of the large bowls. You do not try to stack a medium-sized bowl on top of a small bowl. This man, who can pack a moving truck tighter than Marilyn Monroe's girdle, simply cannot grasp this simple concept. Or maybe instead of a concept, it's just a theory. Am I right? A Kevin theory. I think you just need to explain it in terms of like a moving truck, right? Pretend that our cabinet's a moving truck and you pack it as tight as possible. And then you'll be like, oh my God, I figured out that the small bowls fit inside the medium bowls. Yeah, okay, honey. They both seem exhausting to me. I mean, there are certain you gotta pick your battles, okay? if you're loading the cups on the wrong side of the dishwasher or whatever, I'm gonna let it slide, you know. What Kevin really needs is one of those, you know, shape puzzles. It's like, okay, the circle piece goes to the circle hole, and the star piece, where does that go? And he's like, triangle. No, Kevin, try again. And if he gets it done nicely, then he gets a gold sticker. Banana stickers.
The banana sticker.
I'm not going to come out and say that Kevin sounds like a high-functioning autistic because I'm not qualified to make that determination, but I'm thinking it. I'm thinking it real loud. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he does need to be met with like a little more understanding than apparently his wife is giving him, shaming him on Reddit and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I guess the marriage is working, so keep at it. How about that? And we will jump into the next story. Kevin is not the father. Oh, Maury Povich, here he comes.
You are not the father.
I know it. You know it. Kevin, just doesn't get it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Why are people lying about the paternity of his child to Kevin? Somebody just needs to sit him down, tell him straight out, like, look, that kid don't even halfway look like you, all right? We are not even approaching 20%. This is not okay, Kevin. And then if he decides to love that child anyways, then God bless him, you know? But he deserves to know the truth. So if y'all read my previous post on here, I haven't. I had a high school friend who wasn't the brightest crayon in the box. The story ended with him living at his heroin-addicted girlfriend's house who got pregnant with his child, or at least that's what I thought. Oh, this story is so terrible already. I hate it. This poor Kevin, this poor child. Also, this poor woman who's obviously in the throes of addiction. Nobody's gonna win out here. This isn't gonna be a funny haha story. Why is it so upvoted? Man! Oh well, we in it now. I haven't spoke much to Kevin since he got expelled from school, and our relationship faded into only Facebook updates on each other's lives. The other day, though, I was speaking to a friend, who we'll call Sarah, that still keeps in contact with Kevin. He got brought up in conversation, mostly just laughing about the ridiculous things that he did in school, and then I asked what he was up to. Now, here's something that I didn't mention in my original post. Back in high school, Kevin vowed himself to celibacy. He did not want to bang before marriage. Also, despite how strung out his current girlfriend is, the only drug that Kevin ever used was that good old devil's lettuce. I didn't really think of mentioning it in my last post because I figured he might have changed his mind and just banged it out with his girlfriend. Oh my God, Kevin! Kevin! What are you doing, bro? Somebody need to shake him. Somebody need to tell him the truth. Lay it all down. There's nothing wrong with voluntary celibacy, okay? 100%. But you need somebody that's like, you know, okay with that, in it with you. Apparently she's not in it with you. She's not okay with that because she's going out and getting some on the side. God, I hate it. Even worse than her, like, voluntarily going out and getting some on the side would be, like, using it to pay for her addiction. Oh, this is tragic. This is horrible. Sarah, you know the baby's not even his. OP, wait, seriously? Sarah, yeah, he's a virgin. OP, confused because he posts on Facebook all the time about how happy he is becoming a father. Does he know? Sarah, shaking her head. Nope. He legitimately thinks that he got her pregnant. Sarah, let me have a moment just to see the astonishment on my face. I don't even have the words. How does he think that? What is going on here? I need more answers. We need to go deeper. She went on to tell me that when Kevin first told her that his girlfriend was pregnant, She asked him, when did he start having intercourse? Well, Kevin said he never did. However, they do perform oral. r/not how women work. Kevin believes that when his girlfriend swallowed, it impregnated her with his child. Oh, this is horrible. She let him believe that? Nobody's gonna correct Kevin? Sarah, step up. You gotta be the bearer of bad news on this one. I'm so sorry, but he deserves to know. Sarah and a few others did try to explain to him that that's not how it works, but he's either just love-struck or just... Kevin. Oh my god, dude. What? This is so outside the box. I hate everything about it. Kevin, bro, put your thinking cap on. I know it's dusty. You can pull it out of the back of the closet, right? Just put it on for a minute. It's not gonna hurt, I promise. Go on Yahoo Answers. Type in how girl get poggernant. So there has been speculation that the true father is the guy who graduated a few years before us. He is black. Kevin is white. His girlfriend is white. She's about 4 months pregnant. I will update you in a few months. Oh my god. Oh my god. And we actually got the update. OP actually delivered? Oh! This is juicy. This is real juicy. Update. Wow. Y'all really want the update, and thankfully I have one. I wanted to make sure I got all my facts straight before writing this. Kevin and I have spoken a little bit, but we're not as close as we were in school. And he's a sweet guy, so I wanted to word this so I'm not completely downgrading him. He is a very sweet person, and I genuinely feel bad for him. I think we all do, OP. This is a horrible situation, downright taking advantage of the sweetness of another person, and I can't sign off on any of this. Also, it's almost midnight, and I have to get up in 5, so please excuse the errors. All right, so before I give the results... Oh, she really playing Maury Povich out here. Go ahead. All right, that's fine. Take your time. I think I need a couple minutes to drink this in first, too. I need to talk first about what has happened over the past 4 months. Kevin's mom and my dad are extremely close, and she told him that she was making Kevin take a paternity test when the baby was born. She wanted it during the pregnancy, but Kevin's girlfriend refused. Yeah, we know why. You can't dodge that bullet forever. Finally, Kevin did get suspicious by how hostile his girlfriend was being, and they got a court order. Oh, snap! At this point, Kevin had kicked her out of his apartment until he could confirm that the child was his, and she moved in with, I don't know, some random guy. Although Kevin still did provide her with money and rides, I say again, it hurts, man. I don't know all the details involving the court or the paternity test. I didn't want to be invasive, but long story short, about a few weeks ago, Kevin's now ex-girlfriend gave birth to a little baby girl. And she was white, but Kevin is not the father. Oh, so there's another dong in the mix, right? This is a mess, bro. Kevin's mom told my dad, who told me, and other friends confirmed it. I didn't want to intrude on Kevin since I know it was hard for him, but I told him that I was as sorry as I could be and tried to cheer him up a little. I don't even know who the father is. Truth is, I don't even think that his ex-girlfriend does. The ex-girlfriend still claims that Kevin is the father and he's just a deadbeat that doesn't want to be a good father. You are hardly a mother. How you gonna talk about who's a good parent or not? You think she's still on that China White? Because I do. That poor little girl, man. I'm surprised she came out without any sort of defect. God, I and a few others have called her out on her numerous lies on her Facebook posts, but then we got blocked. Kevin is slowly pulling himself back together, and I think he's doing a lot better. He definitely feels like a bit of an idiot, but he's doing good. The other day we decided to FaceTime, and he was trying to remove jam toast from the toaster with a butter knife. So, you know, there's that. I stopped him from continuing to do that. I'll tell you, man, Kevin is not long for this world, apparently. Not because he's super depressed about the thing that happened with his supposed baby mama, his not really baby mama, but because he's sticking butter knives in the toaster. Oh my God. I gotta respect the guy. He seems really nice. He seems really committed to the things that he believes, and I got a lot of respect for that. But come on! Come on! How can you not know how these things work? Oh! Really, I think OP should call up, like, Child Protective Services, get that baby out of the house. Like, look, you're an unfit mother, obviously. I am so glad we got the update. I mean, I'm as happy as I can be for it going the way that it went, but oh, it's just so heavy, man. There are no winners in this story. This was not a fluffy, light-hearted Kevin tale like I was promised. Actually, I wasn't promised anything. I just went in and pulled some top posts, but it is spicy. I'll give it that. I do realize why it is a top post. I hope Kevin gets it figured out eventually. I hope he finds somebody that will value the sweet man that he is and return to him all the love that he seems so willing to give. You know, put a ring on it. Let Kevin get it wet, right? It's about time, for God's sake. Anyways, enough about that, I guess. Encouraging Kevins to reproduce. Well, I never thought I'd see the day, but here we are. Let's carry on into the next story. My mom, Kevin. It's a Kavina. This is a really short one. My dad and I were downstairs in the living room where the landline was kept. The landline rang and my mom, 5 foot tall, chubby Asian lady, comes barreling down the stairs at top speed. The phone stops ringing. She goes back upstairs. A minute later, the same thing. Phone rings. Kavina bolts down the stairs. Phone stops. She goes back upstairs. This time, audibly annoyed by our mystery caller. Oh God, what do you bet she's calling herself? After this happens for the third time in 10 minutes, we ask her, what the hell is going on? Turns out, she was unknowingly calling the landline from her new cell phone. Then upon hearing the phone ring, she was hanging up her cell phone and running downstairs to grab the phone. We haven't been able to figure out why she dialed the landline number in the first place. She really just didn't have an answer for that one. Oh my God, bro. You'd think you'd see your own name on the caller ID, although caller ID might not be a thing quite yet. This is back in the ancient days of landlines. Ooh, nobody has a landline anymore. It's so ridiculous. She's like prank calling herself, getting more and more frustrated. Honestly, I wonder how long it would have gone on if OP didn't step in. You just kick back with a notebook and record how many times she does it. But yeah, the most mysterious thing of all is what set this whole chain of events into motion, right? She's calling a number, which I guess she doesn't know is her own house number. What number were you trying to call instead? I need answers! There's no update to this one. It just is what it is. 5 years ago, r/just Kevin things. Anyways, we'll do one more story and then I'll get out of here for today. Thank you so much for listening with me this far. Let's rock this thing out. How not to ask a girl to the sweetheart dance. I think there's a lot of incorrect ways to do it. I think there's really only a few correct ways to do it, right? But Kevin, he's gonna figure out a new and exciting way to fail. Some of you are living the dream right now in high school. I don't think anybody in high school actually enjoys being in high school. But yeah, I mean, reminisce all you like, I guess. All the dances, the fear of asking that one person to said dance, friends providing all kinds of advice, some good, some bad, and some advice that was never meant to actually be considered. But this wouldn't be a story about Kevin if they followed all the good advice, right? No, this story is about my good friend Skip, who is a Kevin through and through. So was the high school thing sarcastic? I'm just gonna go with, I'm pretty sure it's sarcastic. Skip had a major crush on a girl who I'll call Sally. Sally was that girl who had all the right things. Great hair, amazing personality, and she loved it when guys were super creative when they would ask her out on dates. The more creative, the more you had her attention. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. She don't want to be with no dum-dum. Unfortunately for Kevin, well, we'll have to see how it goes. It was getting closer to Valentine's Day. Time for the dance that we called the Sweetheart's Ball. Yeah, I got a ball for you right here, sweetheart. Whoa. Shouldn't have said it. Regretted it immediately. Skip desperately wanted to ask Sally to the dance, but couldn't come up with a creative enough way to ask her. So myself and our friend were popping off suggestions while at lunch. OP, dude, you could always send her some roses and say, like, my heart would be full like these roses, in full bloom and full of life, if you go to the Sweethearts with me. Yeah, a little cheesy, but I mean, high school kids, what do you gotta do? Where do you think I'm getting all this rose money, OP? I'm gonna put a hole in that plan right now. You know how much a dozen roses costs? Friend one says, no, dude, send her a bag of M&Ms and say, like, it would be so sweet if you would go to the Sweethearts with me. Yeah, that's more in the budget range. Okay. Friend three, dude, that's stupid. Why not just pour a heart shape on her lawn with gasoline and light it on fire? Who let this guy into the friend group? What is going on? And you can say, my heart would go up in flames if you went to Sweet Heats with me. Seriously? Toilet paper, dude? No, just walk up and say, like, I'm shy and I'm bashful, but I could overcome all of this if you went to the Sweethearts with me. Don't listen to that guy. The M&M guy has it on lock, okay? OP, yeah, he's trying, but the rose thing, the budget's way too big. Come on now. I think even the M&Ms are cheaper than the gasoline, right? Especially at this point in our existence. Yeah, bro, nothing says love like a little bit of arson. Bootleg pyrotechnics. Are you kidding me? And of course he's gonna go with the flashiest one, which is, yes, lighting things on fire. So Skip, listening to all of this, had his mind clamp around one of the things that was mentioned. I'm sure at this point some of you have already figured out the one that he chose to do. This was all on a Friday. Now, none of us were actually present when Skip asked her out. However, we did see the aftermath. Here are the events that followed. Monday, Sally avoided Skip. Like he's a psycho, kind of avoided him. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Pretend it didn't happen? Yes, stay away from that kid. He's lighting things on fire. Tuesday, Skip started to behave irregular, very nervous and looking over his shoulder. Wednesday, Skip's name is called over the intercom system before classes start. Oh boy. Yeah, this prank did not go over well. Or it's not even a prank. It's a gesture of love. I was showing off my gas wealth. I was willing to share that with you, Sally. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'll burn all my gasoline. This is how much you mean to me. Yeah, he's nuts. Wednesday, about 10 minutes later, principal's office calls myself and a couple of friends. We're told to sit outside the office, but we do hear a loud conversation inside. OP, dude, what the hell did Skip do? Friend 1, dunno. Not sure how we're involved here. Friend 2, he did something stupid, I'm sure. You're not helping, friend 2. OP, dude, do you think he did the toilet paper thing? Friend 2, no, this is something bigger. Friend 1, our names had to be dropped sometime, dude. OP, it's kind of freaking me out. About this time, Sally walks into the office, smirk on her face. Oh, Sally's a... Yeah, you didn't want to go with her anyways. She's not like actually fearing for her life. She's just holding this over everybody's head. She's like, you did a dumb thing and I'm gonna punish you for it because I can. Can't you tell he's just a socially awkward dude? What's wrong with you, Sally? Sally then says, have they told him yet? All of us, totally confused. Friend 1, told him what? That's when the door opens. Skip comes out, handcuffed. Sally, you didn't have to take it this far, Sally. Skip ain't got nothing in his life. He just wanted to ask you out. Now I'm defending the arsonist. I don't know what's happening to me, man. This is ridiculous. Skip is crying his eyes out, repeating over and over again, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. It was then that Sally walks up to him, gives him a huge hug. Sally, oh, by the way, yes, I will go to the Sweethearts Ball with you. I take it back, Sally. I don't know what is going on anymore. What just happened? I'm so confused. Our jaws all just drop. We are thinking, what the hell just happened? And then they uncuff Skip, and he has just as a what the hell sort of face on as well. And then the fire marshal walks out laughing. Fire marshal, it was all her idea. Couldn't refuse my little girl. However, you set fire to my lawn again, I'll kick your ass. You will come and fix it. Oh, she pranked the prank. I see what's going on here. She liked it, but she had to pretend she didn't like it, get her dad involved, put him in handcuffs, watch him cry, emasculate him, and then finally I could take him to the ball. This is really weird, man. Okay, all right. Fire marshal, and you three, stop putting ideas into his head. He'll clearly do anything you guys tell him to do. That was the day that we found out Sally's father was the fire marshal in our county. He and the sheriff gave him a tongue lashing for setting fire to his front yard with a heart shape burning in the grass and a sign by the door saying, my heart will go up in flames if you went to Sweethearts with me. It was a really good dance. We all had a ton of fun. Skip and Sally have been happily married for 23 years now. Oh, you love an ending like that. Come on now. That's gotta put a smile on your face. She one-upped him. I'm sorry what I said, Sally. I didn't mean it. I didn't have the full context of the story. Now I bet they're like a prank couple on TikTok, right? They're like, here, hold this broomstick. Haha, there's a bowl of water on the ceiling and you're gonna get wet if you let the broomstick go. Wow, good one. I ain't never seen that one before. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, Morocco. Anything goes in Morocco.
A Kevin in command. Surely he didn't earn his way there, right? Somebody placed him there. Is this a case of nepotism? That's what I'm gonna put my money on. He can't possibly be in command because people want him to be in command, except for Daddy or whoever the hell is in charge. And I mean like really in charge, you know what I mean? This is the story of JJ, the Chief Kevin. Oh, was he elected by like all the other Kevins? I don't know what's happening. Hello, ReddX community! Hi, use a high fleet Shogoth. It's me again, and I have another Kevin story just for you! And this is so fresh. 3 hours ago, I saw it pop up on the subreddit. I'm like, oh yeah, we haven't done Kevins in a bit. Okay, let's get it in there. I wanted to write my wholesome neckbeard story, but it'll be a pretty long one, and I have to recall more of my memories to complete it, so I decided to just write this one out first. Unlike the hybrid, check that out on ReddX's YouTube channel. I might include a link, I think. This is a tale about a classic Kevin specimen. I hope you like it. I might! My hopes are high, that's why I front-loaded it. There are no trigger warnings at all for this story, so you can read or listen without hesitation. Oh, I thank you. My monetization thanks you. She who shall not be named thanks you for all of that. Finally, a safe story. I just need to be a good boy for 1 month. Why can I not do it? Anyways, the cast list is pretty short. JJ is our Kevin of the day. He is the chief of a factory where I happen to work. A factory with like moving gears and stuff, and you gonna put a Kevin in charge of all that? Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief. He's a middle-aged man with gray hair, looking perfectly normal. You would not expect him to be a Kevin, given his position at our workplace, but when you work with him for some time, it becomes, well, obvious. OP, that's me! Your standard vanilla citizen of Poland. And no, that's not racist, ReddX. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. It's a pretty good joke, though. I stand by it. I have much love for D&D and the gym, but at the time when this story takes place, no more ambitions of becoming a scientist. Hybrid forced me to change my plans for the future. Honestly, you got out at a good time. There's no future in science. Come on! You gotta go learn to be a farmer. Now there's a future in that for sure. Boss is the owner of the factory, a businessman raised in the commie phase of Poland. This would take a long time to explain in detail. Long story short, he doesn't take any crap from his clients, but is also like a stone wall when it comes to introducing any change to his enterprises. He's also the kind of person who prefers to do everything with his own hands rather than to let others mess it up, which is understandable enough after you get to know his employees. Yeah, but bosses are supposed to delegate. Like, really? Why are you even calling yourself a boss at that point? Move aside, let me do it. Okay, I still get paid, right? This job is cushy. And now let's move on to the Kevin himself. It will be an ensemble of situations instead of one long story, mainly because it took place during a pretty long time span, and I'm pretty sure it would just lose all coherency otherwise. Yeah, but I like those point-by-point stories. Gives me a place to talk in the middle. So story 1, the beginning. After finishing studies and 1 year of work in national forests, I decided to abandon this line of career and look for something else. Wow, you leapfrogging all over the place, OP. But that is good. Find what you're really passionate about. It just so happened that my father's friend was looking for someone who spoke French to work as an export manager in his factory. I took this occasion, and after a short period of initiation, I began the job. It surprised me how fast Boss took me in, but as I discovered later, my predecessor was explosively fired after he tried to steal from the company. After he was gone, there were a couple of clients left without communication, so yeah, Boss was in a hurry to find someone. Well, their loss is your gain as far as I'm concerned. All I gotta do is sit here and translate? Yeah, sign me up. All I know how to say is parlez-vous français, and hopefully they say no.
Omelette de fromage. Omelette de fromage.
JJ was one of the first men that I got introduced to in my new workplace. He made a good first impression, a calm, casual man who seemed to know what he was doing. He was then and is until now the chief of this factory and was responsible for managing the crew, arranging papers for exporting goods through customs in Poland, writing invoices, and so on. Okay, but really, how was he given this job? I have questions. Boss.
JJ is the go-to person when you need to know something. Any questions about the stock, delays in production, anything, call him, okay?
This was a clear sign for me that JJ was a competent man. Well, that could not be further from the truth. Obviously, the boss relies on him pretty big. Is JJ just like a killer delegator in the way that the boss is not? He gets smarter people than him to do the things that he's not good at, which is a pretty smart move in itself. Is he actually a Kevin? Like I said, a lot of questions. 2, the Morocco incident. I was doing my work for Boss remotely for the most part, even before that was a normal thing, as I started in 2015. My job was mainly contacting our foreign clients to discuss their orders and passing this information to JJ, who would then give me any necessary feedback on what we could or could not do. After a few months, a new client from Morocco contacted me looking for certain materials. Despite a huge lack of trust from Boss, who was certain that
the Southerners would surely try to screw us up somehow,
I took the effort to try and make it work. Wow, what's with the distrust for Moroccans? I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, Morocco. Anything goes in Morocco.
The Moroccan accounting operates on invoices that are a bit different from our usual papers. For example, the French ones. So I asked the client for a draft of an invoice to copy into our system, and then I'd send it back with the shipment's information. Then I wrote an email to JJ attaching the draft and explaining that we would have to change our usual papers for this particular client. A few minutes later, my phone rang. JJ,
OP, we can't change our invoice. We must do it the way that we've always done it.
Oh, maybe he is not too bright. They're the client, okay? They're gonna tell us how things get done because they're the ones that are giving the money to us. If we don't do as they ask, they're gonna go give the money to somebody else. Do you understand that, JJ? OP, why? I asked, knowing that an invoice could look however one company chose to write it, as long as it contained the obligatory information. The Morocco client asked us to only include some additional information for their customs agency. Nothing groundbreaking, truly. JJ,
our system doesn't allow such changes. It's not possible.
Are you sure? Can I come and take a look on your computer there? And he's like, what's a computer? No, he didn't say that. OP, what system do you use to write an invoice? JJ, after a while of silence,
Microsoft Excel.
OP, and you really can't change what's written in an Excel sheet? JJ,
it's gonna break our template. I tried it a couple of times.
Okay, then make a new sheet. I swear it's not that difficult. OP sighs. Okay, send it to me and I'll try to do it, all right? JJ agreed, and a few minutes later, I got an email with the template. It literally took 5 minutes to change it and send it back. And then my phone rang again. JJ,
I still don't think we could send it like that.
I really don't want to have this discussion. Can I talk to Boss? I'm just gonna jump the chain of command, all right? You're making this needlessly complicated. OP, why? JJ,
Our accountant won't allow it with those changes.
OP. Oh, really? Did you ask them? JJ.
No. I just know.
It was somehow important to me that we would succeed with this client for a couple of reasons. The major ones being that I wanted to prove to the boss that the Moroccans are honest people and that they would not screw us up, and this was the first client that I was managing from the very start, so I wanted to show that I was capable of doing my job from A to Z. OP, can you give me the phone number to our accountant, please? JJ.
Yeah, but you really can't change the invoice.
He said, and then he gave me the number. As you surely expect, my discussion with our accountant was very short and very simple. I got the confirmation that a slightly changed invoice could be used without any problem. I guess JJ just has some sort of vibe of competency. You really think that he's doing his job just fine unless you look a little bit closer, which I'm surprised the boss hasn't, considering how hands-on he is. There's lots of mysteries here, not the least of which is why the hell they're using Excel to write up invoices, but I'm not gonna go there today. I don't have the energy. JJ took the information and obliged. I wonder if he actually talked to the accountant before saying what would and would not be possible. Then I got another mail with the invoice, and I forwarded it to the client. They responded that they would also need to have our company stamp and signature on the copy, so I called JJ once again and asked if he could do this, scan, and send it to me in a .pdf format. He did, but he sent it as a JPG. Well, I thought, looks like I'll have to convert it myself. Later, as we made more shipments to that same client, JJ would always send me the copies in various formats, JPEG, PNG, and such, but never, ever in PDF. I guess they just don't know. Does the boss even know what a PDF is? How is this company still standing? I like to think that I could run a company, but then I'm sitting over here driving one YouTube channel into the ground, so what do I do? Don't listen to me either. I decided to just ignore it and change the format every single time. You're enabling him at that point, OP. But yeah, maybe it's not worth the headache. After each shipment, the client paid according to the copies, but JJ also sent them the original by DHL service and paper as required by the accounting laws. I gave him the address of the bureau in Casablanca that I got from the client. One day, after half a year of regular shipments, I was visiting the factory to meet the boss and look at some products. JJ took me aside at one point and said,
I don't think that Moroccan post is working properly.
OP, why? JJ,
all of the original invoices I send are returned back to us.
OP, very surprised. Like, every single one of them? JJ,
yep. I guess they just don't know what to do with them, and they send them back.
Yeah, that's not how the mail works at all, okay? You're probably writing the address as something undeliverable. Let me see it. How are you ruining this? This was clearly a big problem in case of fiscal control, so I had to investigate, even though it was not really in my range of duties, technically. Okay, then, show me the DHL parcels that you've sent. JJ took out a couple of envelopes, and I looked at the given address. Now, the info that the client gave me were, of course, the name of the company, postal code, city, street with the number, and so on. On the envelope, I saw only Company So-and-so, Morocco, Casablanca, 2nd floor. In French, of course, so it was actually 2e étage. Butchered that up nice for you, didn't I? No street number or nothing. He's just like, yeah, go find the company. Of course they're not gonna do that. He was sending the invoices to the second floor in Casablanca. I kid you not. Why DHL did not turn his attention to this fact after the very first one? Well, that is a mystery for me even today, but I do have some theories. You'll see what I mean when I describe JJ's discussion skills. I mean, we've already sort of covered that. I don't think I want to go any deeper with this dude. He insists that we can't change the invoice for reasons. No actual reason, just because we can't. Okay, well, I don't think I'm gonna talk to you about any of these things anymore. OP, dude, where's the rest of the address? Do you not know how the mail works? JJ, what do you mean the rest? I produced my phone and showed him the very email in which I had given him the info. OP, this rest. Like, you know, postal code and street and so on. JJ, who do you think I am, OP? I don't understand French. How am I supposed to know what all this means? Besides, it seemed too long for me, so I cut a little bit of it off. All you have to do is copy it. You don't need to know what it says. Oh my God, he is hopeless. And then my main question is still, how did he maintain this job? How is he pulling the wool over the boss's eyes every day? OP, what? Why? I literally gave you the whole address. Why would you cut anything out of it? JJ, well, the addresses of our other clients from France or Italy looked shorter, so I thought, OP, of course they look different. That doesn't mean you should cut them short for a better look. You have to resend them all with proper addresses. Now, JJ. Oh my God, this is so much work now. I can't do this. This will cost us a lot of blah, blah, blah. He blabbered on, but I had stopped listening. Yeah, so much work that you caused. This extra cost that you caused. I don't feel bad for any of this. All I've done is inform you that you have screwed up. Really, you should be thanking me. But his ego is so large, just like every Kevin, they can't even see how stupid they are. OP, just do it before we get ourselves in crap with the fiscal office and lose the client. And so ended the first major arc of JJ's shenanigans. He sent the invoices again, and we didn't actually get in any real trouble. Yeah, because you bailed him out of it, OP. He was quite close to getting in probably a lot of trouble. And what was he doing with these things that got returned? Just saving them somewhere? He's got like a big drawer full of returned letters. He's just like, I don't know. At least he wasn't throwing them away, I guess. Oh my God. He is a Kevin through and through. Story 3, login problem. Boss once called me and asked if I could help JJ create a supplier account for our factory in one of the popular DIY markets that was buying our product. This would be useful later on to track our sales. Boss,
I ask you, OP, because you know how JJ is with computers. It would be best if you came to the factory and guided him through the process.
Yeah, this is gonna be a long day. I know how he is with computer, and I know how he is with the post office, and I know how he is with functioning in daily life. How does he remember to breathe? So, the next morning, I hit the road and I went to the factory. The facility is located about 200 kilometers from where I live, so after about 3 hours, I was there. Then, I created the account with JJ standing right next to me, and I noted what the login and password were on a piece of paper. Surely he can understand how to read a piece of paper, right? Can he read? About a year passed. I nearly forgot about this situation, and then one day, JJ called me. JJ, hello, OP? I need to ask you to come to the factory. Yeah, 200 kilometers away. Let me drop everything for you, buddy. Old pal. OP, all right? Can you tell me what the matter is? Maybe I can help you over the phone. JJ, well, I think it would be best if you were here. It's about the supplier account. Technically, JJ was the chief in the factory, so I had to do what he told me. God. Fate worse than death. I quit this job already. Please miss me with all of that. So I changed my plans for the next day, and I went to the factory in the morning. This was surely an important matter because the DIY market was quite a big client. Around 9, I entered the office. JJ was sitting by his desk in front of his computer. OP, all right, what's the problem? I asked, sitting on a chair nearby. JJ, well, I have trouble getting into the account. OP, all right, show me. Enter the login panel. He types in the site's address, and I noticed that the Internet Explorer search window didn't show any propositions on autofill. Strange, but it wasn't something that worried me all that much. The login site popped up, and JJ stopped moving, staring at it as if waiting for something. OP, well, you have to type in your login, JJ. He's been doing this for a year and he just woke up this morning and forgot how to do it. He remembered too many Pokemon names and the login information got shoved out of his head. I don't know what's happening. JJ started theatrically scratching his chin. JJ, damn. I just forgot what that was. OP, it's your email address. JJ, oh yeah, thanks. You use so many accounts these days. Sometimes it's easy to forget. Then he typed his email in and stopped moving again. This is excruciating. I waited while the brutal realization appeared in my mind. I feared that this would be the case, but for some reason I did not want to accept it. Then, after a prolonged silence, I said, type in the password, JJ. JJ, what was it again? OP, JJ, I left it for you on a piece of paper. You are the user of this account, not me. He again started to theatrically search his desk for something. JJ, I had the paper somewhere here. Ah, darn it, it must have gotten thrown out. How do we get in now? You drove 200 kilometers for this. Oh, I want to die. I want to die. OP, JJ, the password is redacted. I happen to remember it because it was simply the company name and then 2000. It literally cannot be any simpler if it was his own name. He's just indefensible. If he's not related to the boss, surely they go golfing together. You know, they've got some sort of relationship outside of just business because this guy he's hopeless. He typed that in and went into the system. OP, okay, so what's the problem? JJ, well, I'll manage it from here. That's all I needed. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am dying inside. This really couldn't have been just a phone call. I could have told you all this yesterday, JJ. Oh my God. How did you not stab him in the neck with a pen? So this is how my entire day was wasted, to go there and back again, only to remind JJ what his damn login and password were. If you listened or read my story about Hybrid, you might remember that I usually don't get angry very easily, so I only asked JJ to let me look at his account for a while, and I went to login history. There were no login attempts at all. He did not use this account, even once. Oh my god, dude. One day the boss is going to find out, and this is all going to roll downhill. I hope you are out of this company long before that happens, OP. This is a disaster waiting to happen. I did not get angry. How? I'm just reading about it and I'm boiling. But I did decide to speak with boss about what I had found out. I told him that JJ called me in for no good reason, and that he did not actually use the account that was supposed to be important for our company. Boss?
Well, I know JJ's not very wise with computers, and he tends to avoid tasks that he doesn't know how to approach, but he's pretty much the best that we have.
You really just said that, bruh? That's the saddest part of this whole story. That's the best that you got? Oh my god.
He's the only person good enough to be the chief and who wants to live in the area near the factory. There's no mystery about it, really. It's a crap hole, and people either move out or are too stupid to leave.
Yeah, we know which category JJ falls into, I guess.
Believe me, the others would have been even worse.
I don't understand how this company's still standing. I say again, this is shocking. Absolutely shocking. I couldn't disagree with boss, and I did start to understand how things worked here a little bit better. Or don't work here, as the case may be. What does anybody actually do here? Story 4, the little things. Once upon a time, JJ caught me in the factory and told me, OP, I don't know what to do with those strange French letters. This new client's company name, I just can't type its name on an invoice. They should know better than to include those weird signs in their names. They're not on any keyboard. Are you sure about that? Have you ever heard about Unicode? Never mind, that's a rabbit hole we're not going down, JJ. It's time to cut and run, OP. The prospects here, it's all over. I happen to know what company he was speaking of, as it was really the only new client at the time, and I was wondering, where did he find any French signs in it? He could really have had some problem with accented letters, but I didn't recall any in this company's name. It's probably like an asterisk or something like that. Yeah, we only got one new client because clients come and interact with this company, see that the only beacon of hope is OP, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna go somewhere else. OP says, okay, show it to me. He gave me the info on this client. The name a little bit changed because this company is still active, as far as I know. Boy de l'Ouest. Butchered that one for you too, OP, you're welcome. But I will say that mispronouncing things generates some nice comments. Give me a little boost in the algorithm, so we'll say it again. Boyce de l'Ouest. OP, where is the sign that you can't type in? JJ, it's right here. He pointed at the apostrophe between the L and the O. Okay, JJ. I don't know how to explain this to you. OP, JJ, it's just an apostrophe. It's on every keyboard. You just have to press the button. JJ, What's an apostrophe? He asked, looking confused. Oh my god. Oh my god! I can't do it anymore. I quit on the spot. I don't want to work under you anymore. Oh. I'm just having a real hard time even processing that. I pointed to the right keyboard button. JJ was really amused as he learned a new thing that day. Oh, great for you. Do you think it's gonna stick? Do you think he has any sort of retention whatsoever? He's gonna ask OP the same thing again tomorrow. Oh, another time I get a call from the Moroccan client that we had to change our customs procedure because they had to break the customs seals when loading our merch into a container in La Spezia. Long story short, basically, normally a seal like this is mounted on a whole truck's bed and broken only when the load reaches its destination. But on the way to Morocco, it's loaded on a container and then on a ship that goes from Casablanca to La Spezia, so they had to break it to unload the merchandise. The client asked me if we could do something about this because each time the seal is broken, they have to remake the customs procedure again and pay for it once more. I asked JJ, why did you ask JJ, OP? Don't we all know better by now? He was usually in charge of contacting the customs office in Poland. I asked him if it would be possible to do something about this. After a couple of minutes of pleading him to call the office, he obliged. Then he called me back and said, nothing could be done, and the client will have to pay for the second customs fee. Did you really call the office, though? I was caught between a hammer and an anvil, because if there's something that Moroccans did not like, it's paying more than they expected. So the client called me again and again, and I tried to talk to JJ multiple times, racking my brain to think of a way to change this customs procedure. After a long day of constant calls and listening to Moroccan French, which is pretty hard to understand sometimes, I decided to make one final effort. OP, JJ, can you give me the number to the customs office? JJ, why? I already told you that procedure can't be changed. Yeah, you said the same thing about the invoices and the accountant. You'll forgive me for being a little bit skeptical, right? Give me the number! But instead, OP just says, let's just say that I want to hear that same thing from the office. JJ reluctantly gave me the number to the clerk that was assigned to us, and I called her. The discussion went something like this. Clerk, customs office here, how can I help you? OP, after explaining what the problem is, do you think we could, like, for example, put a seal on each box instead of the whole truck bed? That way the merchandise could be moved to the container without breaking any seals. Clerk, huh. Yeah, I think that would be possible. We could do that. OP, all right. Thank you. Bye. I guarantee you he didn't call. He's intimidated by that pretty lady on the other end of the phone. This all took me about 5 minutes. JJ seemed slightly surprised at the outcome, but seemed not to give a single damn about the client's satisfaction. I guess maybe the clerk couldn't come up with that as an answer on her own, but once OP offered her it on a silver platter, she's like, oh sure, yeah. Maybe it's just like a total Kevina on the other end of the phone. I don't really know. This is horrifying. There are more stories about JJ, but I guess you can see the pattern here. I think it's enough for now, as they get repetitive and I don't want to bore you. To sum things up, I will just say that JJ once stood in election for town's council and, surprise, didn't make it. Oh, thank God for that. At least the people in the town, they got a little bit of brains. Another time, JJ completely destroyed the engine in one of the company cars because he decided to ignore the check engine oil lamp when going on a delegation to Breslau. I had the pleasure of hearing what the boss had to say after that, and I guess that the word demonetization is very fitting here on multiple levels. I still work at the factory, so I might have some new stories about JJ in the future. Oh, OP, I feel so bad for you, bro. It's time to get up and out. This is over. How long could this possibly last? I want you to think about that honestly. Unfortunately, the current situation with the pandemic and inflation and a war going on may as well cause the downfall of this facility. So, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. Yeah, it's time to cut and run. As soon as possible, you need to get up and out. I guarantee you, even without all that other stuff going on, this company is going down. This is over already. You can see the signs. Come on, you're a smart dude. Anyway, I hope you like the story of JJ. Sorry there's no actual climax and payoff to those couple of situations, but that's just how things are sometimes. Indeed it is, OP. Kevin's gonna Kevin. I didn't actually expect there to be any fireworks, any repercussions, because the boss and JJ just seem to have each other's backs through thick and thin. I don't know what's going on there, but it's definitely a little bit sussy, if I could say that much. This was a painful one to get through, and I can't imagine dealing with this every single day. At least you seem to work off-site. You don't have to deal with JJ all that often, but oh my god, even once a week, once a month, I don't know if I can handle it, man. I see dull people. They don't know they're dull. Yes, sir, r/stories about Kevin. We are back to it today. Kavina uses household bleach to dye her hair, and of course, her hair melts. So Kavina was one of my best friends growing up, more due to proximity, as she was basically the nearest neighbor my age. Sweet and funny, Kavina was also not really the brightest bulb. I mean, that's okay, most kids aren't, I guess. When Kavina was born, she had blonde hair, and naturally it darkened with age. Kavina hated that, so she tried sunning, and her hair turned like a tangerine blonde. She hated that even more. It's not a good look generally. Orange lady bad. So I suggested she bleach her hair, as in hair dye. I probably should have been more specific in retrospect. However, most 13-year-olds don't need to be told that there is in fact a difference between hair dye bleach and household bleach. I mean, that difference is mostly the purity, is it not? I don't know, I ain't no hairdresser, I'm a neckbeard scientist, alright? Kavina was excited, said that she was gonna do it that night and go super blonde. I was relieved and excited for her, as I thought I was finally about to hear the end of this seemingly never-ending hair saga. You were trying to be a good friend, you know, you were trying to help, right? Are you sure? I went over to her house the next day, and there were tears in Kavina's eyes as her mom was cutting off her hair in uneven clumps. Bright blonde bits strewn all across the floor like some weird broken halo. Oh, this is so sad, especially as a 13-year-old. That's the end of the world. I remember getting a bad haircut at 13, and I ain't even a lady. I know it matters, like, way more. My mind was racing, struggling to figure out what had led us here. Did Kavina use too much dye? Leave it on too long? Forget to wash out the sun in, and maybe some weird reaction occurred. I asked Kavina if she was okay and what had happened. Through a mix of what was now streams of snot and those kind of tears you only get from ugly crying, she said, I did what you said. I used bleach and now my hair is ruined. Oh, that's too bad. I guess all this was before, like, you could verify things on the internet. And of course she didn't want to ask her mom because her mom would probably say no, and yeah, I got this. My little girl's 11 years old and she gets real brave trying to cut her own hair and stuff like that. It's a wild, dude. While Kavina glared at me balefully, the pit of my stomach dropped from a mix of guilt and fear. guilt that I had apparently destroyed my best friend's hair, and fear that Kevina couldn't handle this existential hair crisis, as she was already super self-conscious about her looks. Yeah, basically like every 13-year-old girl on the planet ever. As she continued to glare at me from under patches of hair that increasingly looked like a 3-year-old's effort of cutting a Barbie's hair, I struggled with what to say. Finally, I stammeringly mumbled in front of Kevina's mom, "I'm so sorry, Kevina and Miss Kevina. I didn't think this would happen." Now they were both glaring at me. That's great. There was a long pause as my mind raced about what could have gone wrong. I bleached my hair all the time and it never looked like this. What could have gone wrong? Was it the brand? Yeah, CLOROX. Oh, I don't think that's the right brand. After what seemed like hours of watching Kevina in absolute misery and just wanting to hug away my best friend's tears, I asked, "Kevina, I'm so sorry. Maybe it was the brand or something. What brand did you use?" "CLOROX," Kevina replied. Oh, that's too delicious. Called that one from a mile out. It's a great punchline to end the story on. You might think that's the end, that we're moving on to another story, but no! There was a giant comment from OP after MacGuffins asks, "OP, what happened next?" So, this now becomes a tale of Mama Kevina. Remember Mama Kevina glaring at me as well? She too did not grasp why this happened. Oh Lord, you tried to help, didn't you? Well, I guess that genetic dullness has to be passed down from somewhere. This is unfortunate. "I use this stuff on clothes. It bleaches them just fine. No damage. So, like, why would it mess up my daughter's hair?" Because her hair's not made of cotton. What are you talking about? I cringed inwardly. Mama Kevina has a bit of a temper, you see. And by a bit of a temper, think like pots and pans flying and an array of insults that would surprise even a sailor in their ingenuity. You go ahead and try me, I've seen some stuff. So diffusing this entire situation was going to be difficult, to say the least. Like, pick a wire to cut on a bomb kind of difficult. Something I always respected about Mama Kevina is how protective she is of her little cub, Kevina. So I have to strike a delicate balance, don't get Mama Bear mad, and don't let on to Kevina that her hair is basically trashed and now she's going to take a lot of crap at school as a result. I also have to clarify how chemistry works, and also why they shouldn't hate me forever. Yes, let the dissertation begin. As Mama Kevina continues to cut patchy clumps from Kevina's head, I began. Timidly, I said, while trying not to laugh at the absurdity of this situation to keep the twin bombs in check. "So, you know when you bleach clothes over time, they tend to wear out more quickly?" "Yes," Mama Kevina agrees while staring blankly at me. "Well, that's the fabric being damaged, alright? When things will wear out." Another blank-faced "yes" from Mama Kevina. "Well, that's when you only put a cap full, in a full load, right?" "Yes!" Mama Kevina rolls her eyes impatiently, as if I can't get to the point. No, trust me, you need this context, okay? You poured household bleach on your own daughter's head without taking any chances anymore. But I know if I really don't take this slowly in an understandable way, she will blow her top. Mama Kevina hates being confused. Probably happens a lot, honestly. I breathe in slowly, ready to continue. I'm temporarily distracted by the mounting pile of hair at Kevina's feet. We've gone from a dusting of clumps to now what looks essentially like a pile of straw. I mentally make my face as polite as possible and carry on with my delicate balancing act. Well, now imagine if you put straight 100% CLOROX on clothes with no water. That would be stupid, Mama Kavina said. Everybody knows that. Are you sure? Take a minute and come back to me. Still not seeing the connection and looking increasingly frustrated, OP continues. Well, Kavina put straight 100% CLOROX on her hair, and she left it on for an hour. The fibers in your hair are more delicate than clothes. You know, like how your hair breaks if it's too dry or if you brush it too much, I said, trying to sound as little like a kid talking down to an adult as possible, because that was yet another of Mama K's triggers. Mama Kavina seems to have a lot of triggers, honestly, and she seems to be her own biggest enemy. But again, maybe it's before Google. Maybe she really didn't know or have anybody to ask. I gotta try and assume the best, I guess. Well, yes, but what's that got to do with anything? Asked Mama Kavina, somehow combining the very slight dawning of connection with her growing impatience. I mustered up every fiber in my being to school my face into a somewhat normal expression. Taking yet another deep breath, I continued. So, last night, when Kavina put straight bleach on her hair, it appears that she melted it. That's why the pieces won't come apart, and you've had to cut them from her scalp. Mama Kavina's face darkens with what I think is sudden understanding. The clumps are continuing to mount up all the while. Meanwhile, Kavina is still completely lost. Bro, is her dad smart? This girl might be lost for a long time. Really, I have to blame the parents more than anything, though, you know? 13-year-olds do some weird stuff. It's your job as a parent to make them stop doing weird stuff. Kavina's blue eyes are as empty as OP has ever seen them, but ringed with red. But you told me to do it, Kavina whines, and Mama Kavina's face grows darker. Oh yeah, OP, you better get to that part about why they shouldn't hate you real quick. A serious storm is brewing, so I try another tactic. Yeah, Kavina, I did suggest that you bleach your hair. Again, I'm so sorry it's a little messed up. Which is the understatement of the year. Kavina sniffs dejectedly. I know you are, I just don't know why you do this to me. Mama Kavina glowers, ever more darkly. Well, I think it's time for me to get on home. Well, Kavina, you know how some kinds of hair dye lighten your hair? That's called bleaching too, and that's what I meant. Kavina's face flashes from dejected mourning of her hair to genuine anger. But you told me to bleach it! How was I supposed to know what you meant? Well, I don't know what to tell you. Some lessons get learned the hardest way. Next time you'll know what I mean, right? I paused again. A deep inhale, followed by soldiering on. Kavina, what does your mom use to cover her grays? Kavina's face is now a perfect mirror of her mother's. Anger coupled with impatience for me to get to the point. Hair dye, Kavina grudgingly answers, in a tone indicating that this has absolutely nothing to do with the current situation. A more forceful, "What's that got to do with anything?" follows. Okay, so if your mom uses hair dye to cover her grays, what do I use for making my hair blonder? A still vacant and ever more irritated Kavina replies, hair dye. Right, and what does that do? Still not a flicker of that old light bulb going off in Kavina's head. It makes your hair blonde. Exactly, Kavina. It makes my hair blonde, which is lighter than my natural hair color, right? So hair dye makes my hair lighter by bleaching it, I replied as gently as possible. The clacking of the scissors became louder and more frequent. Mama Kavina was clearly about to blow if I didn't speed things up at least a little bit, So I decide, what have I got to lose at this point? And I just go for it. Okay, so hair dye, to go lighter, is a different type of bleach than, you know, CLOROX. It's made to lighten the weaker fibers in your hair. Hair dye weakens your hair over time, but CLOROX is way too strong, and that is what hurt your hair. I pause, hoping that this helps, still blank and accusing, but now confusion is mixed up with the anger. Oh crap. When I said you might want to bleach your hair, that's what I meant. Bleach your hair with hair dye. Bro, you just talking to a brick wall. All this breath completely wasted. Anger again became dominant in Kevina's gaze. Why didn't you say so? Deep breath. Trying to control my own rising frustrations. I didn't think that I had to. Mama Kevina was full on angry now. Well, you should have said something. How was I supposed to know that Kevina was gonna do that? I asked. Well, if you were a real friend, you would have known what she would do. Mama Kevina roared. Yeah, all my best friends are psychic. Get out of my house, OP. I'm sorry. I really didn't know, I demurred. Get out! Mama K bellowed in a voice that suggested that she meant business. Jesus, dude. It's so much easier to pass the buck to somebody else than to, like, look at your own actions and be like, huh, that might have not been the best thing I could have done. But I grabbed my backpack and I headed for that old door, still at a loss about how to make this better. But when Mama K was really angry like this, the best thing was to get what had made her angry out of the way as humanly possible. Kevina and I had learned that the hard way over the years. As I opened the door, I turned back, hoping the situation had cooled a little, but no such luck. I saw what was now most of Kevina's hair at her feet, from past her shoulder to the most lopsided pixie cut I have ever seen. That's so tragic. Get out! Mama K shrieked again. This time as if her lungs were about to burst from rage. Two Kevina's eyes bored simultaneously into my back. Still, no comprehension whatsoever that this was not my fault. Monday was gonna be fun. Okay, and then the next question is what happened on Monday, but I guess there ain't no answer to that, so that's just the way it goes sometimes. OP went way more in-depth than she needed to in the comments, and I do appreciate that, you know? Story's still a little short, so we got a Mama Kevin. Let's get a Father Kevin in here, and we'll balance some things out, alright? I'll see you over there right now. My Father Kevin. The one Kevin that you'll never forget. Oh no, their subtitle could go a lot of ways, and I don't think I like any of them. My dad is the Kevin in this tale, and my mom, the Kevin handler. That's how most of these relationships go, isn't it? Much of my childhood was my mom explaining, often in a futile effort, why Kevin's ludicrous plans didn't make any sense. Now, some of these are secondhand stories that I know are true. There's a bit of a Kevin expanded universe of stories about dumb things he did. Please bring us that. From my mom and uncle, Kevin's brother, but I will only include the ones that I have some confidence are really, really true. Even so, I think this Kevin gives the OG a run for his money. Oh, that's bull words, but I know OP's gonna back it up right now. Kevin met my mom in high school through an in-school suspension, which seems like a good place to start our story. If your school didn't have it, well, an in-school suspension is basically being sent to the principal for an entire day. It's in between detention and real suspension. Even I got a few. Now, Kevin had been sent to the principal after blowing a centrifuge while messing around in the science class lab. My mom had been sent there for smoking. And what a chance meeting it was! The stars have aligned, OP, and soon you would be brought along. Isn't that weird? As Kevin got up to leave for the day after serving his suspension, he stumbled and put his fist through the principal's computer screen. What? Stumbled is in quotes, so I got questions there. This was 1999, so needless to say, that was not a cheap fix. Nor was it cheap to fix a hand that went through an old computer monitor. Anyway, for whatever reason, my mom became friends with him that day, and eventually they got married, etc. Honestly, I punched through a computer screen for my future wife. But 1999, that means they had kids like straight out of high school or OP as young as hell. Either way, I guess it don't matter none too much. Without further ado, let's get to some great all-time Kevin moments. Kevin decided to buy a grill for the house and grill some beef on it. Yeah, man stuff. Unfortunately, he bought ground beef and he couldn't figure out how to make it stick together. So he just threw the tiny crumbly pieces into the grill where they burned. In a fit of rage, he threw the grill and set the lawn on fire. That's right, he couldn't make literal ground beef stick together. You just gotta mush it down into a hard ball or stick an egg in it, I guess. That is some deep-seated rage. He's a good fit for the Kavita in our last story, honestly. Yeah, that's right. You throw the grill all over the lawn. That's gonna fix your problem. It's like a literal child. Kevin's second grill-related incident, just last month, happened when I was visiting home from college. So he figured, what better way to welcome me back than with some steamed hams?
And you call them steamed hams, despite the fact they are obviously grilled.
On a 30-degree day, which I guess if you're in Fahrenheit is cold, and if you're in Celsius it's hot, but OP doesn't specify which one. Well, 1 minute into all of this, Kevin flops his rotund belly onto the grill because he read on the internet that if your stomach is fat enough, it can absorb heat. There's a lot of heat in it. It took him like half a second to realize he was wrong. He also refused to go to urgent care and is still recovering from the painful infection that he has on the burn. Ugh! For a month? Yeah, he probably wants to go checked out. Wind it all back. This is definitely an American story because they don't want to go to the hospital. When I was younger, Kevin burnt his nuts and had to go to the hospital. My dad goes to the hospital for accidents at least twice a year, but I'm really only listing the super crazy ones. So, how did he burn them? Well, he tried doing a stunt in the kitchen to impress his in-laws by throwing a cast iron pan full of frying fish between his legs, like a basketball. Hot oil. Kevin insisted that he wouldn't bleed if the skin was cut around the veins. I think you're forgetting about the smallest veins. They're called capillaries, and they're everywhere. I guess theoretically you could cut around one. Maybe this isn't the craziest thing ever. This was his justification for trying to perform a home tattoo with a ballpoint pen. The tattoo was E=MC². I kid you not. Yeah, and then people come up and they're like, hey, what's your tattoo mean? And he's like, "Ah." It's smart guy stuff. I don't know. Kevin could not be convinced that a small fish can live in a small tank. He bought me a goldfish when I was 7 and insisted on buying a $1,000 giant tank. Like, an enormous tank for one singular ordinary goldfish with the filtration apparatus. Unfortunately, he set it up wrong, and on the first night of owning my fish at 3 a.m., the tank collapsed on its side and smashed. Miraculously, the fish did live, hanging on in one corner. Rocky the goldfish would go on to live another 6 years in a normal bowl, which my dad was always kept a good distance from by my mom. I think it's cool he bought a giant tank, you know, maybe he could have been like a fish tank guy, but unfortunately, that also requires a lot of dedication and research, which we've seen that Kevins are basically incapable of doing. Kevin also had a pathological inability to understand the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. If you don't live in the Midwestern US, a tornado watch is issued for like a 100-mile by 100-mile area and means that tornadoes are possible for the next 12 hours. Warning means there is a confirmed tornado, and it's usually issued for the area in the path, usually about a 5-mile by 5-mile area. Oh yeah, we're talking miles, definitely US. This is a distinction that Kevin simply could not understand. Every single time there was a tornado watch, he would insist that we all go into the basement. Upwards of 10 days a year. I mean, it's pretty common in the Midwest. And he would peek out the window looking for tornadoes the entire time the watch was on. Often for up to 12 hours. The last few years he's broken his tornado phobia a bit, but not totally. Tornado sounds horrifying to me, and it's definitely better than the other way around, where there's an actual warning and he's like, nah, I hear that all the time, the tornado never comes. He's trying to be a good dad at the very least. I give him some credit on that one. And the fish tank thing, maybe, I guess, half a point. Kevin does not own one single clock. He says that one shouldn't have clocks in the house because the ticking can cause cancer. When asked if digital clocks are safe, he says they're more dangerous because they also tick just really softly. Okay, sure. The tiny clocks that make my digital clock work. It's your world, Kevin. We're just living in it. Kevin went to a Chinese restaurant and ordered dingus. He had to be reminded that the word was dim sum, not dingus. Given his reaction, he genuinely didn't know. It was not a joke. Let me get some of that there dingus. I think you mean dim sum. I know how to say it, dingus. Kevin refuses to read restaurant menus because if they have what I want, I'll order it. Otherwise, I won't order anything. And this has resulted in him ordering 100% of the time, making the waiter and waitress explain every single dish. God, I hope he at least tips. Kevin went skydiving with my mom and got the dive canceled after 30 seconds before the jump, jokingly saying that his parachute pack felt too light, like something was missing. The dive instructor refused to dive afterwards, even after my dad had said it was a joke. He got a refund, though the instructor was probably a jerk too for canceling the whole thing. I don't know, man. Skydiving is not one of those second chance things. You really probably don't want to mess around with that. That's a bad joke to make, man. There was this old cook on TV from the South who used to say, I guarantee, in a ridiculous Southern accent. Kevin picked this up. He's from Minnesota, and he would not stop. Can you get the dishes? My mom would ask. I guarantee. Can you take OP to school? He'd reply, I guarantee. I like it. It gives him some flavor. This went on for a month until my mom guaranteed to punch him if he ever said it again. Yeah, I guess after enough times. It's fun in passing every day. You'd probably go nuts. My father tried explaining to me when I was 16 that I should really have a girlfriend by now. I told him I didn't like anyone right now, and he suggested that if I didn't like my peers, I should pursue a relationship with their mothers. Thank you, Kevin. Very cool. Kevin watched one episode of Cougar Town. He's like, that's what I'm all about. Good old Kevin Sr., Kevin's dad. Is that OP's grandpa, I guess? Once lectured Kevin within earshot of me, I was 14, that he should try to have a son. Kevin Sr. doesn't have dementia or anything. He just thought I wasn't a real man because my hair looked like I was, quote, a bundle of sticks. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks there. Oh, he used the gamer word. Kevin Sr., for context, was born in 1932. Kevin was born in 1982. I was born in 2003, so a bit of a generation gap. Bro, Kevin Sr. had kids at 50? That's way too old, dude. I'm looking to retire, you know? Kevin bought an enormous triple computer monitor that was like a yard across. Bro, is that the Logitech Odyssey G9? Soon as I pull up an extra grand from somewhere, yeah, I'm totally all over it. Kevin is my spirit animal in this instance. But OP says it was impractically large to use, and my mom was livid when he spent $1,600 on it. But the real fury came when it turned out that it wouldn't even work on our desktop. Oof. Why? It was a 2019 monitor setup, and the desktop was the 2006 toaster that Kevin had been using with 2010 Linux that Kevin refuses to update. Bro, what sort of gaming you gonna do on that? How was it still even running? The monitor went to good use when he sold it on eBay and sent it across the country in a gigantic box with no padding, where it had arrived smashed completely to bits. Kevin had to refund the whole cost that he had sold it for, $300. Hashtag stonks. Oh, God. That is so painful, dude. I would have given him at least 5. Well, not for a smashed monitor. I gotta make sure you package it correctly and whatnot. I mean, at this point, it's just cheaper to upgrade the computer, isn't it? Jesus. Kevin was astonished when my mom got a kidney infection because he thought only men had kidneys. What? It took him over an hour of lively discourse with her urologist to convince him that his wife wasn't intersex and just didn't know it. Except Kevin didn't use the word intersex. He said poots and prick. Yeah, he's a classy gentleman, isn't he? Kevin saw the humidity was 100% on a weather app, and so he put on his swim trunks because he thought this meant that there would be water outside. I didn't even know how to respond to this. Buy a pool, I guess, then there can be water outside. My dad was once pulled over by cops for speeding, 69 and a 40. He made so many 69 jokes that the cop wrote 68 on the ticket. Nice. Hey, he could be the Reddit mascot. Hey, OP, cut that out, all right? We don't need Kevin in a position of power. And then there was one final incident that I think really encapsulates Kevin perfectly. It was Christmas Eve, and his mother, Grandma Kavina, had COVID. This was back in 2020. We were all together, still because Kavina didn't believe in quarantine/isolating. Oof. My dad bought my mom a $700 piece of jewelry for Christmas. He didn't buy her anything else except for some stocking stuffers. Who buys expensive jewelry for Christmas anyways? Kevin, I guess. Is that weird? I don't know if that's weird. Anyway, Grandma was by this point coughing blood, but wouldn't go to the hospital for another 2 days, after which she was in there for 2 weeks. Oh, also, we all got COVID from her as well. There comes a certain point where you gotta be like, you know what? Maybe I'm skipping out on Christmas this year. That's all right. I'll get you guys when it comes back around. But back to the story. The story of doom. For poor Kevin's present is about to go boom. Oh, you're rhyming. I love it. He wrapped it up in a hurry and stuck it under the Christmas tree. He had thrown out all the dirty, bloody masks that Grandma had left lying around, and I'm sure you see where this is going. Hey, you stopped rhyming. I was too distracted by the rhyme scheme. I'm sorry. By the time Christmas morning came and we all had to open up those gifts, what does my mom get from Kevin but a bloodied, filthy mask? What? Ew, dude. What's wrong with you? Kevin managed to recover the jewelry from the trash, but not before making a legendary family moment. What kind of bonehead could mistake jewelry for a dirty mask? Well, I guess a Kevin. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. That had to be purposeful, or else Kevin is suffering from some kind of disorder. I don't even know what. If your wife didn't have the coof before, she definitely does now. Thank you so much. Ugh. Hope you enjoyed reading about my dad more than I enjoyed experiencing him. Yeah, notice you really don't address him as your dad very much, so there's probably something a little bit deeper going on here. I gave him a couple points there in the middle, but overall, taking it all in, I gotta say yes, 100% certified Kevin, and I'd love to see some more from you, OP. It's just such a burden, you guys. Why do I have to be better than absolutely everyone else? So, I go on a date with this guy, Kevin. Yeah, how'd that turn out for you? Oh, man. Bad date stories are always the tastiest thing ever. I have no idea why dating hell got shut down. Is there an equivalent? Are you guys aware of one? Because I've been looking for one and just not finding it. Anyways, into the story. So, my friend Jason sets me up with this guy, Kevin. I had been unlucky in dating, so he shows me a picture. I think Kevin is somewhat nice looking, so I agree to the date. He calls me the day before and we have a conversation. He seemed nice enough, though he did go on and on about his career as a 5th grade teacher for far longer than I'd asked, and he hardly asked me any questions aside from what kind of restaurants I liked. I named several, but at one point, which I guess he had taken a little too literally, I mentioned that I liked spicy food. Already feel bad for Kevin. He's an awkward dude and he's trying his best. If he could learn to be less self-absorbed and learn things about the people around him, he could be really successful in dating. Unfortunately, learning in Kevin's is just, yeah, that don't do. So, Kevin is supposed to pick me up at 6:30. It is currently 6:41, and without so much as a courtesy text letting me know that he'd be running late, he comes speeding down my street and literally slams his brakes once he reaches my driveway, skidding several feet and leaving tire marks, which remained out front for about a year. And you are willingly going to get into this car? Look, I know you agreed to the date, but maybe we call an Uber or something. If I'm gonna put my life in somebody's hands, why not an amateur semi-professional? So Kevin sees me standing at the door, and I exit my house and begin walking in his direction when suddenly he slams on the horn. He's a real class act, isn't he? I wave frantically to get him to stop, but he continues until I reach his car door. Already, it's just a train wreck. I hear the lock click, and I get in. I say hello and hang on to his stare for just a moment. He remains silent and looks me up and down as I'm pulling the seatbelt across my lap. I sit back, exhale, and notice that he is staring somewhat intently, read creepily, into my eyes. I think he was just trying to be super attractive, but he lacked the swag to attempt this ladies' man stunt. I don't see this ever working, especially not on a first meeting. Like, you gotta build a rapport, and then in that moment you stare into her eyes, but you don't just start doing that and think it's gonna work. That's just creepy. I was feeling a little uneasy that we were still just sitting in front of my house, so I tried to break the ice with, "So, you ready?" Politely smiling. "Nice shoes. They look expensive," he says, despite my shoes being shrouded in darkness underneath the glove compartment. Uh-huh. I guess they started the car eventually. So we're driving along, and I immediately begin to sense his lack of confidence, which I did feel kind of bad about. I understand the pressure on guys when they take a new girl out. So he's asking me what kind of music I like, feverishly clicking through stations, anticipating my response. So OP decides to test him. Why you gotta do this? We're like not even 30 minutes into the first date. I'm gonna tell you 100 reasons this doesn't work out. He's too much of a people pleaser, and he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna test him. Like, why not just be honest, you know? You're going on a date to get to know each other, and you're like, I lied to him to see what he'd do. It's like, gross. I want to see if he has the backbone to stop at a station that he prefers rather than pandering to my preference, so I casually throw out country. Disappointingly, Kevin starts desperately turning the dial until he gets to the country station and then quite literally blasts it when he reaches said station. Yeah, gross, he did the thing that you asked him to do. He's not a Kevin. I mean, kind of. The shoe thing was pretty weird, as was screeching down your driveway, honking on the horn, showing up late. Okay, well, he's mostly in the hole, but I think the radio thing was not a very cool move from OP, personally. So at this point, I know that unless he's some sort of magician, there is nothing he could do to save himself from the flaming dumpster fire that this date has turned into. I mean, as soon as he screeched into the driveway, I'm like, don't know. Why?
You're all going to die down here.
So I just mechanically begin going through the motions. The drive was an exercise in futility. There is no icebreaker or even awkward conversation. Just turn around. Just go home. Don't waste the time or the money on the date. It's over. We tried and it's over. This is why coffee is much better for a first date than like actual food. Because you're not as committed. You're just like, okay, I take my coffee to go. See you later. You can end it at any time. I find that reassuring. So at this point, I'm mostly convinced that Kevin is just inexperienced and timid rather than actively weird. He's driving erratically and glancing at me nervously over and over. I'm afraid he's going to run a red light, and we are both going to not make it home tonight. You say that like it's a surprise, OP. You knew he was a maniac when he rolled up to your house. All right, whatever, we moving on. So we get to the restaurant, finally. Salam, Ethiopian kitchen. I kid you not. If you are ever in the Chicago metro area, look it up. Guess he really took to whole heart the whole spicy food thing. Ethiopian, I ask? Is it good? Oh yeah, I love it. Okay. At this point, my BS barometer is through the roof, but I set aside a sliver of hope that maybe he does know what he's doing. He definitely doesn't. He's too much of a people pleaser. He's way out of his depth and thinks he could just fake his way through it. It is sad to watch. I feel bad for him, honestly. So we sit some pillows on the floor. I'm wearing a bit of a skimpy dress, so I am instantly uncomfortable. He leans back and begins flexing his chest through his button-down cloth shirt, unbuttoning the top button and commenting, "It's getting hot in here," while suggestively shooting me the most graceless, cumbersome bedroom eyes that I have ever received. Maybe he's not as inexperienced as he seems. Or he just watched too many pickup artist YouTube videos. I'm not too sure. I really don't understand how Kevin thinks any of this is working. Can we just be honest with each other? I know we just met, but let's have a frank conversation right now. I was right. Kevin begins in this weirdly whispery voice, followed by uselessly redundant comments. Your shoes do look expensive. What is with that? I actually giggled and covered my mouth, giving a knee-jerk apology for basically laughing in his face. No, please, let him know this is not acceptable behavior. So the waiter comes over and he hands us some menus, asking us what we'd like to drink. There's a short pause, I presume to be chivalrous, allowing me to order first, but as soon as I begin speaking, Kevin holds up his hand and says, the lady will have a water with lemon and a glass of Chateau St. Pierre. I interrupt with, actually, can I just have a Diet Coke? Kevin then interrupts me once more, looks at the waiter and comments, I insist. The waiter gives me an awkward glance, which I reciprocate, and he looks back to Kevin and politely asks, so what am I bringing? The waiter is the most honest one in the story. Like, look guys, I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. Please feed me instruction. I identify so very much. Kevin's overconfident masquerade instantly melts away, and he says, Diet Coke. So funny. At this point, I just want out. I'm not a difficult girl to take on a date. I've had many dates where a guy doesn't display the utmost degree of confidence, and understanding the pressure that they are under, I've granted them a break, and many times, even a second date. It's interesting to me how you think that that's like you both didn't mutually agree to go out on a second date. I don't know what's happening. OP wants to reiterate that, however, this date was an utter train wreck. So I started to generate surface level small talk in hopes that he might start asking me questions, actually wanting to get to know me a little. But instead, he just starts going on and on about his kids, students, calling them terrible names, yes, using those terms on a date, and he even bragged about other female teachers whom, to quote him, would totally kill to be in my position right now. At this point, I am trying achingly hard to hold back laughter. The food eventually comes, and we begin eating. He orders a plethora of appetizers, which he begins voraciously inhaling, very impolitely. I'm convinced that he's asking me useless questions like, where did you grow up, and what is your job history? What is this, a goddamn job interview? Just so he can shove more food into his mouth. Isn't that what you want? You were asking him to ask you questions, and now he is, and it's not the right question. Dude. So he's dumping copious amounts of hot sauce onto his food while reminding me that he loves spicy food. Though before the main course comes, I notice that he is dripping with sweat. Oh, yeah, that's probably not a great look. I ask him if he's okay. He's chugging water like Aaron Ralston after 5 days in the canyon and repeatedly calling the waiter over for piles of napkins to dry off with. At least he's aware, okay? Let's not shame him for trying to dry himself off. Let's shame him for insisting he likes spicy food in the first place when he clearly doesn't. Like, liking spicy food ain't a flex, is it? But again, you just gotta be real. You just gotta be honest, you know? You don't gotta lie to kick it. Order something, don't put hot sauce on it. What's wrong with you? At this point, Kevin's armpit sweat is branching out towards his ribs. And then I get an ill feeling when his stomach starts grumbling and He's sitting forward, straining his neck so hard, it looks like his carotid artery is about to burst and start showering me with his blood. I mean, that would be an eventful end to this date, wouldn't it? I'm just imagining like that red-faced kid in class meme, you know? Does he have to poop real bad? He's just trying not to squirt it everywhere? By now, I'm in such disbelief that I feel like I'm watching a movie. You're right, OP, it is kind of like a movie. Like an Adam Sandler movie that doesn't have any of the likable characters or jokes. So actually, yeah, just like an Adam Sandler movie.
Don't forget your sweat shadow.
What?
So OP asks, are you sure you can eat more of this stuff? I ask, genuinely getting concerned. He begins holding his fist to his mouth and burping. I always react this way to Ethiopian. I love it. Maybe he's just a masochist. I don't know what's happening. I begin to recoil, thinking that he is about to projectile spew rice over my shoulder while silently pleading with God that the date ends as soon as possible. I mean, dude's out here putting it all on the line, right? I can acknowledge that he's really quite a weird dude, and some of the stuff he does and says is super not okay. But it's a first date, you know? Going down there with his acid reflux burning an ulcer into his stomach. No milady's worth that type of effort. Especially not this one. So because OP knows nothing about African food, I had absolutely no clue what he had ordered. So the waiter shows up with this tray of like half a dozen plates. He sits 2 of them in front of me. I ordered some chicken dish with vegetables. Then he removes several of Kevin's appetizer dishes and sets down 4 plates piled to the freaking ceiling with meat and rice and whatever. Oh, so now we're just gonna shame him for eating on the date? I can't stand it, dude. I'm starting to lose it for real. Maybe a hot take, but I'm my civility is waning. So I try to continue the conversation, but realizing that he only likes to talk about himself, I ask some more mundane questions about his dating history. What is this, a job interview? To which he replies, in between more rapid burping, wouldn't you like to know? I decide to abandon all polite decency at this point, since he's made the decision to act like a complete. He's trying to play the mysterious card with the wherewithal of a 13-year-old. And I say, okay, well, I guess this date has hit a wall. I suppose I did him a favor ending the date before it had actually ended. I'll be back, he mutters, jumping to his feet and proceeding to take a call, despite his phone not ringing, and he walks off towards the men's room. And he is gone for like 15 minutes. So what you're saying is you waited for this dude for 15 minutes so he could give you the drive of shame back home? This date's over now. Drive me home, girl. I'm so done. I am so done. OP starts to wonder if she could catch a Uber or maybe even leave with a rando, possibly murderous stranger before he comes sauntering out with his phone still up to his face. The entire front of his shirt so sopping wet that whatever patches of dry spots are left appear like a cluster of tiny islands on a world map. The rest is the ocean. I just feel bad for this dude. But I did have him pegged early on, just like way too much of a people pleaser. Good God. So Kevin sits back down and starts unbuttoning halfway down his shirt. I can see his soaked wife beater underneath. I'm frantically texting friends at this point, begging to get picked up, and I actually score. My friend Melody agrees to hurry down right now. I just want whatever traces of excretion that are on his fingers from whatever the hell went on in that bathroom to stay where they are. And seeing as he awkwardly placed his hand on the small of my back and partially my butt when I entered, I assumed that this was going to be a certainty. Yeah, okay, I have to go, he nearly yells into the phone.
Clean out your locker at the club, Bob. You're fired!
Again, just more dishonesty from Kevin. It's never the way to go, okay? Anyways. Kevin burps. Principal's on my butt. I'm sorry I was gone so long. Treating the date now as a source of entertainment, I indulge him. What was that all about? I question, sending a text to my friend to hurry. Mind you, this was the very first time I'd touched my phone all night. This dude just got up and left me alone for almost 20 minutes, and then he has the nuts to say, I'm giving you 5 seconds to stop looking at your phone, or you're paying for dinner. That's it, I say angrily, throwing my hands up. I'm leaving. Please don't follow me. Calm down, he says, and the last thing that came out of his mouth, spectacularly, was, so, do you like Italian food? I jump up, drop down $10 for the tip, which I would have at least insisted on anyway, and left him to stew in his own perspiration. Yeah, and then the whole restaurant stood up and clapped. I know, 'cause I was the t-shirt. Come on, bro. I definitely don't think that Kevin is a good person, but I mean, OP ain't really either, you know? It's all equals pequals around here. As I'm leaving, the waiter catches my eye, smiles somberly, and laughingly whispers, I'm so sorry. I wish he would have taken me out. I bet he does. I bet he runs out after her and he's like, here's my number. Just wait. So I waited in the freezing cold on a random street corner on Broadway in the city of Chicago for 10 minutes until I finally get picked up. I exhale and let the anger and anxiety wash over me. I text Jason, who set us up and told us it was a disaster. His response, oh, damn. Sorry, hoped for once it wouldn't be like that. For once. Jesus, it didn't end there. Then Kevin sent me a barrage of angry texts calling me many mean names, and I'm still trying to figure out what that even means. So, a bit later on that night, Jason sends me a text. Mind you, I have blocked Kevin at this point. I open the text and it's a screenshot. Kevin went to his own Facebook wall and posted, OP's full name gives a terrible blowy. But you still went bluey. I immediately begin freaking out when Jason sends me another, reading, don't worry. I told him he could lose his teaching license over that, telling me that Kevin had taken it down. I searched this guy just to be sure, and it turns out he did, in fact, delete it. Or maybe he only posted it to friends. I should totally friend him. And indeed, a piece of OP died that night. My hope in humanity is several degrees lower than it was before. Oh, you too. And it will remain that way forever, until I hear that this guy's been struck by lightning and extinguished from the face of the earth. Bro, that is so strong for what just happened. He took you out on a date that he thought you'd like and ate food that he probably shouldn't have eaten. Like, yeah, oh hey, we weren't compatible, and now I would like to see you in a pine wood box. What are you talking about? So maybe a year later, I brought Kevin up at a party where Jason was, discussing bad dates around a fire. Jason, after my story, expelled one interesting little anecdote about Kevin, which evidently took place after me. He'd been set up on another date. I have no idea who the girl was or how it occurred, but she ended up going home with him. Apparently, they pulled up in front of his house and Kevin said, Hold on. I just need to clean up a little bit. Give me a second. Oh, we know from Chris Trucker what cleaning up actually means. He's gonna go do what he needs to do so he can go give her the ride of a lifetime, right? You don't want to walk around with the loaded handgun. That's all I'm saying. So Kevin shuts the car off and leaves this girl inside the freezing cold for a half hour while he cleans his filthy house. At least he's cleaning it, I guess. She said that when she entered his home, it was still absolutely disgusting. When I asked what happened next, Jason said, I don't know, but after she got home, she called me up crying. Yeah, almost going home with a neckbeard Kevin, that is like a rock bottom. That should be an awakening. Not even Kevin has ever disclosed the details of that night. My guess is, well, now that I think about it, that's a guess I'd rather not take. The end. I find it completely fascinating that a year later, this OP is still talking about this bad day that she has, still letting it roll around in her head. What actually happened that you want him to get struck by lightning? All I'm saying is it's a little sus. You know, if every date you go on is a bad date, maybe there's a common denominator there that we should look at. You know, I'm just throwing it out there. That's just my take on the whole situation. I don't know, I usually love bad date stories, but I don't feel like anybody truly won in this one. Unless, of course, we're talking about the viewers, because they seem to like it when I go in on OPs. But I don't think I overdid it, you know? It's like just my honest opinion on what I'm reading. Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. Kevin in the kitchen. A couple of years ago, we, Busy Pub Kitchen in the middle of London, were in need of a new head chef. Here comes this Bulgarian guy, about 25, claiming to have experience in busy kitchens. I wonder if he's the Kevin of the story. Kevin had no idea how to boil an egg. He put one in the microwave as is, and it obviously blew up immediately. Kevin thought he could avoid actual work by pretending to be busy washing the salad. One leaf. For 40 minutes straight. Never have I seen one man go so far to avoid work. I almost admire it. Kevin managed to make a double burger after a few weeks, and he was so proud that he took a picture and posted it on his Facebook with the caption, "Food is art." It was assembled upside down. I mean, it's modern art. Kevin took 2.5 hours to prep one Scotch egg. For anyone unfamiliar with British food, it's a soft-shell boiled egg wrapped in sausage and haggis meat, panated in egg and breadcrumbs, and deep-fried. It is a popular bar snack. To put things in perspective, I can make 12 of them in like 20 minutes, including the boiling time for the eggs and not rushing. So let's extrapolate that. How long would it take Kevin to make 12 Scotch eggs? Well, it took him 150 minutes to make one, so 12 gives us 1,800 minutes, which is, of course, 30 hours. So, yeah, basically an entire work week to make 12 Scotch eggs. He's hopeless. Kevin also took 5 hours to make 7 portions of fish cakes. Again, anyone else in the kitchen could make 15 portions in like 40 minutes at the most. Yeah, step it up, Kevin. We got hungry customers out here. As soon as the tickets were starting to rush in, Kevin suddenly remembered he had something really important to do, and he would disappear into the office for hours. We all see what's going on, Kevin. You're not fooling anybody. Is anybody gonna talk to the owner about the new head chef? In the rare instances that Kevin was actually forced to be on the pass working, Kevin would panic as soon as he got more than one ticket with one item on it. Burger with triple chips? Panic mode engaged! That's alright, folks. Just take it easy. It'll be out here in about 6 to 8 hours. Kevin would often stop food from coming out of the kitchen in the middle of rush hour to put his personal touch on them. Please don't. End result was a massive traffic jam of dishes ready to go on the pass, and the one dish that was supposed to go down turning cold because Poop for Brains took 20 minutes to draw a circle on the plate with the ketchup bottle. Bro, this isn't five-star dining, this is pub food. Get it together. Kevin decided that the best way to clean a stick blender would be to put it in the dishwasher. Engine, wire, and all. Oh God. This is a somewhat costly mistake, right? Somebody's gonna find out right about now, right? Kevin once had to take a delivery early in the morning. We used the dumbwaiter to send food to the bar and to bring in fresh deliveries. That specific delivery had several drums of vegetable oil for the fryers, 20 liters each, little over 5 gallons each for you Yanks. Everyone else, myself included, used to put the actual food in the lift and bring the oil drums into the kitchen by hand. But not Kevin. Being the genius that he is, he decides to put it all in the lift. All of them. Despite them not fitting into the lift and hanging on to the sides. Cut to a couple hours later when we found the lift stuck between floors, the engine having gone into emergency stop, and the drums inside completely unreachable from either floor. Did I mention that this happened on a Friday morning, aka the most friggin' unbelievably busy shift in the entire week? I mean, he's really trying to work smarter, not harder, but he's missing the smarter parts. It's gonna be real difficult for you, Kevin. But before that, Kevin took delivery another time. Now, usually deliveries come in at about 7:30 a.m. By around 9 a.m., whoever took the delivery was usually done putting everything away and folding up the cardboard boxes for disposal, and they could start prep for the day with ease. But not Kevin. I was on shift for 11 a.m. that day, and I came in to see everything still around the kitchen, still in its boxes, and with that lazy a-hole just sitting there playing on his phone. And no prep done, and everything turned off with the kitchen opening in mere minutes. How long could this possibly go on? Somebody, get rid of him, please. Kevin was on evening shift after a new hire, a guy almost his exact opposite, hardworking, fast learner, smart as a whip. New guy had a 10 to 17 shift, Kevin 16 to 22. Problem is, as soon as he came in, Kevin started to complain, "Hey, it was too hot," and he went home. Can't stand the heat? Get out of the kitchen. And yeah, he did. He was only there for 30 minutes, leaving this new guy completely alone. Although that guy is a total legend, pulled a 10 to 22 shift by himself like a boss, then went straight to the manager and resigned on the spot because, and I quote, "This BS I cannot tolerate." Yeah, let's be real, there's no amount of money in the world that's worth all this. Edit. Since many of you wonder if Kevin was fired, yes. He was 4 months in, and after losing half the kitchen staff, the new guy and myself, and a co-worker, if the new guy was a legend, well, this guy is a legend cubed, massively experienced. Anything that could possibly happen in a kitchen, he's seen it, lived through it, and survived to tell the tale. And now he's standing on the unemployment line because Kevin. Come on. Okay, so this legend cubed coworker was about to go on holiday, and he told the manager that if he found that useless a-hole when he came back, he would move and take his girlfriend, who was also a coworker, who also hated Kevin with a passion, with him. And Kevin was fired only a week or so later. See, now we're making big brain plays. Why did it possibly take this long? Edit 2. I just realized I never wrote down the details of my departure. Since it can provide a bit of entertainment, here it is. Kevin, one fateful day, gets in a smug mood and wants to teach us how to make a perfect glaze. Needless to say, his perfect technique was all wrong from start to finish, leading me to believe that he either took it from some YouTube video and sort of forgot half of the steps, or he lifted it straight from 5-Minute Crafts. Well, like 5-minute craps, am I right? I was already more than fed up with his BS, and I called him out on it. Kevin got very upset and yelled, "Yeah, I am the head chef!" To which I couldn't resist answering, "You ain't even a bad kitchen porter." Turned around, went straight to the manager's office and told him that I was leaving. Later, I heard from my coworkers that Kevin wasted everyone's time insisting that I be fired for insubordination. Wow, that's a really big word, Kevin. You sure you didn't hurt yourself on that one? On a side note, let me be clear that I don't intend kitchen porter as an insult. No, sir. In my experience, one good kitchen porter is worth his weight in gold. And if it were for me, I'd much rather lose 3 good chefs than 1 good kitchen porter. Or in other words, a good kitchen porter keeps the kitchen running like clockwork. A bad kitchen porter makes the kitchen crash like a train wreck. Kevin, as you can already guess, was worse than a bad kitchen porter. Well, honestly, I'm super glad he got fired. Finally, managers screwed their head on straight. Probably the owner has no idea that all this went on, which is unfortunate, but also if you're that hands-off with your business, what else can you expect? The curious part to all this is that OP has posted 3 different Kevin stories, all about Kitchen Kevin, so I guess the next one will be just a completely new Kevin, and I'm sort of excited to get into that, so let's jump on over and see how it goes. The Kitchen of Horrors, or How I Met a Herd of Rabid Kevins and Lived to Tell the Tale. Wow, you're building that one up quite a bit, ain't you? Probably I'm just unlucky to get so many stupid folk in my way, or somehow I've developed the worst superpower in history, like a magnetic field that only attracts dimwits. Or maybe there's just so many Kevins out there that one just can't help but bump into the molasses for brains absolutely everywhere. I honestly don't know. All of this to say that the following shining examples of Kevinness are unrelated to the other Kitchen Kevin that I've already wrote about. Sadly. They are everywhere. They are legion. I mean, luckily they're usually harmless. They'll end up breaking stuff, but that's about the worst of it. That's why I like Stories About Kevin so much. A little bit of background here. I've worked for a short time in a busy restaurant chain in the middle of London, and I resigned when my Kevin tolerance had reached its limit. Head chef was this kid about 25. Not that that would be a bad sign per se. I've done a cooking course under a 22-year-old chef who was like a natural talent and a total genius, but this guy, 1 year earlier, was only working as a runner. He had no experience, and as it came out later, no formal knowledge or training. He did work hard, but he didn't work smart. What is the hiring practice at this place? You just walk out on the street, you're like, hey, you want to be the head chef? Come on in. This kitchen had an incredibly high turnover rate. Imagine that. Staff was coming and going on average of at least 1 change a week, either somebody resigning or somebody else coming in, which of course in any workplace is not a good sign. Absolutely, you need to make plans for departure yesterday. Now, down to the Kevinalities. Head Kevin had no fucking clue about organization or teamwork or task distribution. Basically, it was everyone for themselves. An example, you have 3 burgers with sweet potato fries on the ticket, 1 with cheddar cheese and bacon, the others with red Leicester and onion rings. A good kitchen team of 3 gets 1 to grill the burgers and drop the fries, another to cut, toast, and prepare the bread with lettuce, tomato, and whatnot, and the 3rd one on the pass to handle the rest, warming the plates under the pass lights, preparing the sauce pots, garnish, and so on. Check everything, and then you send that food out to the customers. Nice and simple, right? Well, this particular kitchen nightmare worked on the idea of, if you get a ticket, you handle it from start to finish. I mean, the only way that's gonna work is if you're delegating tasks like was described above. Otherwise, you're just all bumping into each other trying to do the same thing. What is this place? This results in chefs tripping all over each other, dishes prepared twice or not at all, traffic jams on the counter, and absolutely no final quality control. And do keep in mind, this isn't the pub from earlier, so quality control is important. Now OP's working in a chain restaurant, and I'm sure this is a branch that's gonna shut down real quick. Both head Kevin and second Kevin, they were actually housemates, had no idea what cross-contamination was. And to this day, I'm fairly certain that they both faked their online courses on health and safety. Once, second Kevin had to prepare some bacon strips. He grabbed the bag of undercooked bacon, laid it on the pass, which is his first goddamn huge freaking mistake, raw meat on the counter where you assemble the dish that you're sending to the customer. Then he took a brown cutting board, not the cutting boards again. You're killing me. I can't handle it, but okay, it's your kitchen, your way. Tell me about the brown cutting board. That's the one that's color-coded to be used exclusively for stuff like onions, raw potatoes, and the like. He took a yellow knife, aka the one color-coded to be used exclusively for cooked meat, and then he starts chopping. God, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to just assume that he could learn if somebody took the time to teach him, but yeah, you're supposed to be certified. You're supposed to teach all yourself this, Kevin! One of the floor managers comes in, sees that, his face goes white, takes everything from under second Kevin, moves the proper red-colored board and knife onto the counter in the raw prep area, and drops the rest in the dishwasher straight away. Second Kevin gets upset because he didn't understand what he did wrong. See, and there's the rub. Like, did anybody explain it to him? I'm confused by the cutting board colors. Of course, I never claimed to be certified either. These Kevins used to prepare coleslaw from scratch using the sink as a mixing bowl. Oh, God. So horrible. The sink reserved for washing vegetables, mainly potatoes, more often than not without even bothering to clean the sink beforehand. Oh yeah, it's nice crunchy coleslaw. Extra iron in your diet. Jesus. Most boroughs have their own rules for garbage collection. Some sell pre-taxed bags and only collect rubbish that's been packed into them, and this was one of those. Big Kev, the manager, didn't buy the rubbish bags once for whatever reason, because he's a Kevin. So we couldn't put the garbage out for collection for like 2 freaking weeks. What was his genius idea? Let's hide it all in the basement. Yes, let's create a nest of rats and cockroaches right under our eating establishment. Are you out of your mind? Where are the owners? Somebody please help. An average of 4 large bags per day full of leftover food, flour, vegetable trimmings, chicken bones, eggshells, stale bread, just festering in the basement for 2 weeks. Oh my God. You understand it can't just stay down there, right? Speaking of manager Big Kev, I've heard through the grapevine that he was originally training as a general manager elsewhere, then all of a sudden he got transferred and demoted to simple waiter until a friend of his, the one who hired him in the first place, a mid-level manager, stepped in and reinstated him as a manager in training. What happened? I don't know, but I guess some serious stuff has been going on, maybe some theft or whatnot. The company probably didn't have definitive proof for firing him and opted for demotion. Sounds like something a Kevin would do. Oh, the books don't balance out? Yeah, that must be all of my subordinates. Head Kevin also once said, tomorrow's the busiest day of the week. Let's put just 2 people on shift and make one of them the new kitchen porter, literally at his first job experience that we hired 3 days ago. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. Yeah, why you guys falling behind? There's only 2 of you, you gotta work harder. Guess what? That chef resigned the very same evening, and then Head Kevin did the exact same thing again. That's the thing about Kevin's, man. They just never learn. You could teach him the proper cutting board colors, but after lunch break, he's out. He doesn't remember again. Anyways, our oven had a self-cleaning cycle, but it needed some chemicals, of course. 2 blue bags and 1 red bag, coming in conveniently in one delivery. They ran out of red bags because all the Kevins were just dropping 3 bags of whatever was closest to grab. Alright, now you just gotta use up all the blue bags to balance it out. We had a blast chiller with an additional defrost functionality. Of course, none of the Kevins ever actually bothered to learn what that was, what was its purpose, or even how to use it. They were using it as a spare fridge, or to cool down preps before the walk-in fridge, or so they thought. They never realized it was set on defrost all the time, keeping all that food at that nice, comfortable temperature range for bacteria to reproduce like crazy. Or to quote Chef Ramsay, "You're trying to kill someone! You donkeys!" No, seriously, they need to be fired as soon as possible. The fact that manager Big Kev was put back into a management position, is that not terrifying? Anytime I go out to eat anywhere, I'm gonna be like, is he here? Is Big Kev in the back? Please say no! Just pack up my crunchy coleslaw, and I'll leave before he makes his appearance. There's one more story of these that was posted relatively recently, which alerted me to the other 2, so we're just gonna wrap this up in one big bundle. And if OP has more stories, then I'll try to get to those in the future, I suppose. Kitchen Kevin part number 3, The Maddening. Oh, we weren't already there yet? Okay. Well, people, it's been a while. 2 years. Work and life get in the way. That they do. Some of you may remember my past dealings with other Kevins in professional kitchens, but let me say that those were nothing. In the meantime, I've been both blessed and cursed to meet the Kevin. The Kevin Nest. The one Kevin to rule them all. The ultimate Super Kevin 3rd level with a power of incompetence over 9 trillion. There are truly no words, so let us begin. The most irritating thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the Kevin mind to correlate all its contents. They live on a placid island of ignorance, in the midst of the black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that they should ever voyage far. The common sense, straining in its own direction, has hitherto harmed them very little.
That's beautiful, man.
First, a little bit of the old background. The combination of Brexit and lockdowns has had a serious effect on the food and drink industry, amongst others, and workers have been very difficult to find, leading to most retail points being understaffed, and many reopening partially, as in open bar but no kitchen at all, never reopening at all for lack of employees, or in some cases even opening, struggling to make ends meet, and ending up closed up and sold off. In other words, especially when getting near Christmas, which is the busiest season of the year, every company is pretty much desperate for personnel and will hire anyone and anything, no questions asked. I mean, you could probably be an insane cannibal, showing up to an interview wearing no pants and chewing on a human leg, and all the manager would say was, can you start on Monday? That is one cool thing about the pandemic. It used to be jobs holding all this power. Now it's the people that got the power. I could walk outside, get a new job tomorrow. The setting of our tragedy is a smallish gastropub in central London. Tiny kitchen, but very busy with food, especially in the months right before the Christmas season. We've been looking for people for months with no success at all, so when the Kevin showed up, he got hired pretty much on the spot. Consider that by the time Big Kevin came into the kitchen, it had been severely understaffed for months, running with only one full-time chef, yours truly ROP, and 2 kitchen-trained bartenders alternating shifts between the front and back of the house. I'm starting to think OP is just cursed. Everywhere he goes, the hiring practice is just as shoddy as it can possibly be. You got 2 arms and 2 legs? Do all of your limbs work? Oh, 1 arm's not working? That's fine. Get in the back. The man, the legend, the insanity. So, the Kevin was on the older side. Honestly, he made a good first impression. Likeable, sociable, seemed eager, and he had worked in the same company before. A big plus. Means a candidate will not need to be trained from scratch, as the basic training like health and safety, fire safety, and so on are all the same. He came in shortly before I went on holiday. I always get some rest before the big push in winter because it gets very stressful. And my heart goes out to food service workers, man. That's one of the worst jobs out there. Worse than retail, I will say. Anyway, my front of house colleagues were both veterans, and he already had his basic training done, so it's just learning the kitchen layout and memorizing the menu. Nothing major, right? Right? I came back after my vacation and found my colleague, who was holding the manager title at the time, at her wit's end and pretty much wanting Kevin's head on a platter, for reasons that will become clear shortly. Okay, calm down, I say. Maybe he just needs to be trained again. I'll do as many shifts as possible with him and retrain him from scratch. 2 weeks later, I wanted Kevin's head on a platter, and a truckload of parsnips covered in hot chili peppers wedged up his rectal cavity. OP then goes to have a conversation with his colleague. Look, I don't think I've ever been so wrong. We need to get rid of this expletive deleted of a genital reference before he drives us all insane. Well, there's the new manager coming in to take over, and I don't really want to put him in front of a done deed. Seems rude. Okay, let's hold on to the wanker for just a little bit longer then, I guess. New manager comes in. We talk about the situation. It's about mid-November by now. Christmas season is just behind the corner. He's worried that we might be understaffed at Christmas, so he decides to hold on to Kevin at least until the season is finished. You realize he's only going to complicate things, right? Maybe you don't. Maybe you have to see it in motion. 1 month later, in the middle of December, with bookings left and right, Kevin finally gets fired. It has been too much, even for this new manager. I mean, that's a good manager, right? He takes out the trash. He calls them as he sees them. We continue into a public service announcement. Okay, I will admit that all of that we just talked about was only to make you wonder exactly what in the ever-loving hell this Kevin had done. Oh, we're Tarantinoing around a bit. I don't know if I like it. But that is for your mental well-being, my dear readers. Oh, thank you, I guess. So you would have some time to prepare yourself for the abysmal show of a grown man who has reached maturity without even encountering the concept of common sense once in his life. So please, sit down, put down your drink to avoid spitting at your screen, take off your hat if you wear one, because you will scratch your head repeatedly. And if you are or have ever been a kitchen worker, I strongly suggest you tie a pillow to your forehead so you don't hurt yourself when you feel the urge of smashing your face into the closest wall. Wow, that might be a bit over the top. Can I add to this suggestion list? If you listen to the video this far, you probably liked it, so subscribe to ReddX. Hey, got him! So let the madness begin. The Chronicles of Kevin, the Destroyer of Sanity. Kevin has no concept of multitasking. A ticket is a list to be done in order, completely, from start to finish with no overlapping. For example, let's say you got table 2 ordering a fish and chips, a fish finger sandwich with chips, and a portion of chips in that order. Oh, by the way, for you people on the other side of the Atlantic, chips in the UK are the big fat potato fries. Fries are your regular French fries, and crisps are what you would call chips. There's too many words for taters, Y'all just bring me some biscuits and mustard. A sane chef would, of course, drop 3 portions of chips, a battered fish, and fish fingers. Then toast the bread and prepare the plating. Total time for the ticket, the time for the fish to cook through, which is about 6 or 7 minutes. But not Kevin. Kevin was probably afraid to anger the gods if he ever did more than one thing at a time. So what he would have done was drop the fish, wait for it to cook, take it out, drop one portion of chips, wait, take them out, prepare the plate for the fish and chips, plate it, then drop the fish fingers, wait, take them out, drop one portion of chips, wait, take them out, toast the bread, put the fish fingers in the bread, prepare the plate, plate the sandwich, drop one portion of chips, wait, take them out, prepare the bowl, plate the chips in the bowl, and finally call for a waiter. Total approximate time for the ticket, whatever, too goddamn long. You better hope those customers are good as sauced up. 30 minutes flies by super fast when you're ultra drunk, right? Then it's just like a nice little surprise. You're like, oh, I forgot I ordered fish fingers, man. Kevin also had his own concept of portioning, which is to say, almost at random. He would put a cubic ton of fries on a plate and like only 3 chips in number on the plate right next to it. I say almost because oddly enough, he would always over-portion fish, like a lot. Why? Because this Kevin thought he got to eat that extra fish for free. I mean, benefits of the job and whatnot. I realized that at a certain point, and I did a little experiment. One day we got 2 portions of fish fingers on order, so I asked Kevin to drop 2 portions. And lo and behold, he dropped like 5. This was over 2 months in, by the way. Anyway, instead of letting him have the extra 3 portions, I threw him in the bin straight away and looked at him. He was pouting like a child that didn't get any candy. But it certainly sends a message that Kevin has to sneak them the next time. Kevin also had no concept whatsoever of quality. If something existed in the kitchen, it was good enough. I don't need to tell you that sometimes things do get ruined by accident. In that case, you just throw it away and write it off as waste. Not Kevin, though. Kevin would take a smashed burger bun that's literally falling apart and serve it, even if it looked like a dog chewed on it. God, that's heinous, bro. No, I'm not paying for that. Kevin also applied his policy to pot wash, loading the dishwasher with 3 or 4 plates tops, making it run, and then doing absolutely nothing in the meanwhile. Oh, and sometimes he wouldn't feel like actually, washing the dishes, so he'd just hide the dirty dishes in between the clean ones. Bro, you have a dishwasher. What are you doing? Preps? Dear cooks and chefs and kitchen workers in general, have you ever seen a man prepare 12 portions of salad one at a time? Have you ever seen a man take 4 hours to close down? And by close down, I mean like clean off surfaces, wash the dishes, put away tools, and mop the floor after turning everything off. Kevin would also complain. Complain all the time about everything. He wanted free food. He wanted front of house to clean the kitchen for him. He wanted the other kitchen staff to do preps and service in his place. He didn't want to do double shifts. He didn't want to work solo shifts. He didn't want to open and he didn't want to close. Pretty much he just wanted to be paid for the pleasure of his company. Bro, this is a useless worker through and through. I just don't understand how they're lasting as long as they are. Is nobody talking to the manager? Oh wait, the manager, he's maybe still a Kevin. Well, that throws a monkey wrench in this whole thing. Kevin would also not accept any kind of responsibility or request for improvement. Not his fault for anything it was. Always someone else's. Example, he doesn't do any preps. So you ask him why, and he says, nobody told me to. Okay, then you make a list and put it on the pass, and he still does nothing that was on it, and you ask him why, and he says, He didn't see it. Okay then, let's write another list and freaking glue it on the goddamn pass. I'm talking about an A4 sheet stuck between the shelves with duct tape like a curtain right in the freaking middle. Not even a blind cyclops could miss this. Yet, Kevin doesn't do anything on the list, and when confronted, he says, I didn't know it was meant for me, despite having his freaking name in capital letters right on top. Do these excuses always work for you, Kevin? This is just all types of pathetic, bro. Kevin would also rant and go on some absolutely bonkers conspiracy theories. My favorite one is the one about him being almost ran over by Iraqi terrorists back in the 90s because he wrote a letter to Tony Blair advocating in favor of participation in the Gulf War. The final act of this memorable train wreck of a man consists in 3 exploits, of which 2 were on the same day. Oh, final act, that's good. That means we're getting him the hell out of here. Wollt ihr das Kevin in Flammen sehen? I understand 2 of those words. Imagine, if you will, a busy gastropub in the middle of Christmas season. During the lunch rush, 2 bookings of about 20 people each just came in. And the freaking delivery came in so late that we are currently unloading things right in the middle of the restaurant. My fellow cooks and chefs will understand. For all the others, let me just say that this is the stuff that nightmares are made of. So we all go into emergency mode straight away. New manager handling service, holding manager on the pass, me slamming the freaking delivery away and dropping stuff on the cookers and fryers in between the runs. Later on, they made a bit of fun of me, saying I look kind of like the cartoon Tasmanian Devil. And Kevin, well, Kevin was just standing around. You ask him to do something, he would move very slowly, waste time, or just blabber away and ignore you completely. Later on in the evening, we got another booking, but as it was confirmed kind of late and in the chaos of the time, the kitchen rota wasn't amended, so Kevin was scheduled to finish right when the booking was coming in. Now in this business, an unwritten rule is, don't leave your mates in the crap if you don't want to be left in the crap yourself. Guess what? Kevin, who has already been of absolutely no use during lunch, insisted he was scheduled to finish early, and he wanted to finish early. At this point, I lost my temper, told him to go screw off, and that he's useless! Which honestly, not an inaccurate statement. Not even 5 minutes later, my other colleague, the kitchen trained front of house, came in the kitchen, got changed, and helped me out without anyone even asking him anything. Freaking legend, that dude. So the booking done, I have a chat with the manager, and put straight away that this is freaking enough, and I don't ever want to see Kevin alive or dead again. I feel it, man. Like I said, no paycheck in the world is worth all this. Now at this point, there's been a flood of cancellations due to a resurgence of COVID, the Omicron variant, if I recall correctly. So the next day we decided to keep the kitchen closed, and myself and another colleague from another pub would have gone to a third pub to help them out with their own bookings since they were short-staffed. The head chef got sick, if I remember correctly. Kevin wasn't notified of this. We were just planning on having a chat with him as soon as he came in, and boom, we'd fire him. But everyone underestimated Kevin's laziness, it seems. He didn't know I was in the other pub, and he would have to do a double, not alone, however, so he just called in sick. Must be nice. Although that does make the firing easier, doesn't it? The day after, he got the talk anyways, and as predicted, he tried to blame everyone else but himself for everything, trying to paint himself as the sole victim. How do you survive? How do you go through your entire life like this? Have you ever thought of just like a scrap of personal responsibility? Just a glimmer of self-reflection? Please, for God's sake. The eternal sunshine of the mindless Kevin is our final entry. For some time after, talking with the other coworkers, We all realized that, oddly enough, Kevin had gotten worse instead of improving with time, but something felt off. Like he was deliberately messing things up on purpose. The most popular theory was that because he was lazy, he was actually doing that hoping that someone else would just get so exasperated that they'd take over and do his job for him. I mean, there's merit to it. There's a reason my wife doesn't let me mop the floors no more. Me, however, I just got the impression that I was dealing with an overgrown, lazy, spoiled man-child. And before you ask, no, I don't know if he had any mental problems. I doubt it anyways. There was way too much method to his stupidity. Anyway, that's it, dear readers. Enjoy it, if you will, and be sure to offer thanks to all supernatural entities you might worship that you never have to deal with the final form of human incompetence, the Kevin. Farewell, and have a good night, all. I really do hope OP doesn't encounter any more Kevins, but there seems to be a lot of them in the kitchen, or just because of OP's debuff that he doesn't know he has. Endless Kevin encounters for the rest of forever. I don't know, man. Dude's got a real cool writing style, and like I said, I'd never wish more Kevins upon him, but if it happens, then I hope he makes a post about it. Can I say that at the very least? Well, I'm gonna say it. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching, friends. Did you subscribe yet? Did you like, comment, ring the notification bell, all those other things that YouTubers say? We've also got lots of links down in the description, social medias. You should follow me on some of them that you use. I'd also like to thank my Patreon patrons and my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful YouTube channel members. You guys really did save my bacon during July, and I don't have the words. Thank you very much is what I will say. Take care of yourselves, wash your hands, stay safe out there, you know. Always remember, on top of all that, that you are loved, you are worthy, friends. You definitely, definitely deserve it. And I shall see you again tomorrow. So until then, friends, bye-bye.
Thank you for calling ReddX Industries. Your call is very important to us. Please hold on the line while we decontaminate the lab.